subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Sigma Man, do you want to do personal certification? Jenny, what else do you need to do? Sigma Man, write a sentence on a piece of paper. I am Jenny Raylite. Apply for personal certification. Sigma Man, then take a picture. Jenny, it's so troublesome. Rolling eyes.jpg. Jenny, wait a moment. After a while, the photo was sent. Although this girl complained about the trouble, she was not very serious about her work. In the photo, Jenny holds a piece of paper in her left hand and makes a cute V sign to the camera with her right hand, with a smile on her face. Sigma Man, very good photo. I will add a certification mark for you. At the same time, Blue Pegasus Guild. Jenny soon saw that there were 10 red 6 labels on the lower right corner of her name. Not bad. 220. Jenny blinked and thought happily. Jenny, Knight, I sent you a lot of photos. Can you send me a few too? Jenny, I think you're very handsome. Jenny, question mark. Jenny, where is he? The message she sent fell on deaf ears, and Jenny was furious. He ignored her after finishing his business. Knight didn't ignore her on purpose. He was just busy making a magic recovery potion. This thing is quite complicated to make, and it was his first time to actually operate it. It took more than 6 hours to finally make the first bottle. Is this the magic recovery potion? You came over curiously and watched Knight pour a blue liquid into the round magic bottle. Knight used an oak cork, which is a common cork for red wine, to give a magic bottle to Han Jing. It can probably restore 2 stars of magic power. Knight nodded. 2 stars is... As he spoke, a strong white light was released from the palm of his left hand. It's probably this kind of magic power. It can restore so much magic power. Is it directly drinkable? You still felt incredible. She watched Knight's production process almost throughout the whole process, and it was obviously just consuming some ordinary herbs. The cost, Buffy, will not exceed 5,000 J. You know, in the battle between wizards, when the gap in strength is not particularly large, whoever has more magic power is more likely to win. But this potion will obviously overturn this situation. If you sell it, someone will definitely be willing to pay a high price. Do you want to sell it? No, it's too troublesome. Knight shook his head. Do you know what its principle is? In simple terms, it is to use the potion itself as a power bank. Store the magic power that is not used in normal times in the potion, and drink it when needed, and the magic power will be restored quickly. So that's how it is. A genius design. You was amazed. Knight, you are so amazing. You could invent such a thing. She couldn't help but feel admiration from the bottom of her heart. When she first saw the internet, she also had this feeling. Now she experienced it again. This thing also has defects. Knight shook his head modestly. This thing was invented by the system, and he was just a porter. The magic in a magic bottle will slowly dissipate into the atmosphere. It can maintain full state for about a month and will completely lose its effect after 3 months. Besides that, you should understand that this kind of potion is best made by yourself and used by yourself. You is a great magician after all, and he easily understood this. The magic power of each magician is different. If you rashly drink the magic recovery potion made by others, you may have some problems. Of course, it is not impossible to drink it. If you're lucky, you may even have the phenomenon of magic fusion, thereby gaining explosive power. You said in a respectful tone. Even so, this is a great invention. I really want to peel open your brain to see how you came up with it. Knight was speechless for a moment. What are you going to do? Publish it publicly in the magic world? No, I'm just doing it for fun. Knight shook his head and smiled. Studying magic itself is also a very interesting thing. You was hit. She was also called a genius magician before. But compared to Knight, I feel like a fool who only knows how to practice. I want to be quiet. You rolled his eyes at him and went back to the deep web. Knight laughed and shook his head. After thinking about it, he decided to teach this knowledge to Ursha first. The Witch Lady's magic power is very strong, but it is also good for her to have an additional means of recovery. Open the magic network and prepared to invite her to Magnolia. It is still very troublesome to teach such complex knowledge online. It is faster to teach in bed. When I was about to send a message, Juvia's private message jumped out first. Juvia, Lord Knight, I'm at Magnolia Station. Huh, and I was a little surprised. The council's investigation of the ruler of the ghost ended so quickly. Without thinking too much, he replied immediately. Sigma Man, wait there, I'll pick you up. After that, he left the villa. Unfortunately, the obsidian has been broken, and Knight has not bought a second motorcycle for the time being. So, I had to walk to the station. I was busy buying villas, buying herbs, and trying to make magic recovery potions all day. When I went out, it was already evening. Not long after, Kinshur met Juvia at the entrance of the station. Sir Knight. Juvia's face was full of joy, and she ran quickly with small steps. I'm sorry, Juvia hasn't sent messages these days. Miss Yunu apologized nervously. What's there to apologize for? Knight touched the girl's head and smiled. Let's go, I just bought a new house, and you're the first guest. As he said, he naturally took her hand. Juvia opened her eyes wide, blushed instantly, and her heart was beating like a deer. Holding hands with Lord Knight, Juvia is so happy. Juvia has no regrets in death. Let's go buy vegetables first. Can you cook? Knight still likes Juvia, who is obedient and capable, but she is too jealous because of love, which makes him feel pressured. Juvia nodded quickly and answered, Juvia can cook. Then I'll trouble you with dinner. Yes, please leave it to buy. Juvia clenched her fists and became nervous, as if she was facing a major exam in her life. The two walked hand in hand to the vegetable market. Knight suddenly remembered something and suggested, the Phantom was forced to disband, right? You might as well join Fairy Tale. Yes. Juvia felt that she was wrapped in happiness, and her head was dizzy and she didn't hear clearly, so she just nodded. Knight suddenly thought it was a little cute. Not long after, the two bought some ingredients, and Knight took her back to the mansion in the suburbs. 082 Juvia's love will never lose to anyone. Juvia's cooking skills can't be said to be bad, but they can't be said to be very good either. Compared to Mira Jane, it is certainly not as good. Knight thinks Myra's cooking skills are good enough to apply for a hotel chef. Of course, he won't despise it. The two were busy in the kitchen together. Juvia was so busy cooking that she almost blew up the kitchen. In the end, it was Knight who helped and finally made a dinner. After bringing all the delicacies to the table, Juvia lowered her head with a disappointed face. I'm sorry, Lord Knight. Juvia is too stupid. She is obviously good at cooking by herself, but when Knight was with her and watched her cook, he would lie to the point of almost cutting off his fingers. Do better next time. Knight smiled and comforted, picked up the tableware and tasted it. It's actually very good. Be more confident. Yes. Juvia instantly regained her spirits and looked at Knight expectantly. Juvia will do her best. For Lord Knight, Juvia is willing to do anything. Knight noticed that she had a pendant hanging around her neck. It was a peripheral product of Fairy Tale, a golden guild emblem pendant. What did you buy it? This one. Juvia picked up the pendant and put it in her palm. I bought it in front of the station. Juvia wanted to join Fairy Tale, but what happened before, Juvia was worried that President Makarov would not agree. So buy a fairy pendant to pray for yourself? Knight couldn't help but want to laugh. Do you have to be so cute? Don't worry. I'll take you to the president tomorrow, and the president will definitely agree. The conflict between Fairy Tale and Phantom Lord is caused by Jose, who has a close relationship with Doctor. Besides, Makarov is not the kind of person who cares about things. As long as the situation is explained, he will definitely agree to Juvia's joining. Really? Juvia is so happy. Juvia has learned to express her feelings frankly. Knight saw her staring at him and couldn't help but say, Are you eating too? Aren't you hungry? Juvia is satisfied just by watching Lord Knight eat. You're so good at flirting. Knight complained in his heart. But the key point is that he can still know that this is the real thought in the heart, not deliberately saying some flirting words. Natural flirting? Faced with the situation, Tut simply used a straight ball. Juvia, do you like me? Juvia blushed instantly, shyly and boldly expressed, Juvia likes Lord Knight very much. But I'm a scumbag. Scumbag. Juvia looked puzzled. Although it was the first time she heard this word, she could understand it from the literal meaning. I have a girlfriend named Ursha, who is now one of the council members. Knight thought about it and didn't hide it. He simply told the other party, remember to keep it a secret for me. In an instant, Juvia was struck by lightning, and the whole person melted like a pool of liquid. Is the blow so big? Knight was shocked, and at the same time thought, this is simply the ability user of a natural water fruit. Are you okay? Knight quickly pulled the person up and held him in his arms. Juvia is so sad. Boom! Thunder has begun outside, and a rainstorm is about to come. Knight looked at Juvia in his arms and felt helpless. Listen to me, Juvia. Although I have a girlfriend, I don't mind having another one. If you want, I can be with you too. Knight could actually hide this matter. With Juvia's love for him, he could trick her into bed right now, but it would be very troublesome later. With Juvia's love-brained personality, he could even foresee the scene of Ursha fighting with her. Just tell her directly and let her choose. It sounds like a scumbag's words to ordinary people, but to Juvia, it seems to be reborn. She recovered from her semi-liquid state. Her beautiful big eyes stared at Knight without blinking, and her face turned red again. Lord Knight, Juvia will not lose. For the love that has not yet begun, Juvia bravely buried her head in Knight's arms. The first time Knight hugged this girl, it felt like hugging 10 balls of warm water. You won't fight with Ursha, will you? He couldn't figure out Juvia's mind. Was she willing or unwilling? Juvia is a latecomer, but Juvia will definitely not lose. Juvia hugged Knight tightly and raised her head slightly. Juvia's love for Lord Knight will not lose to anyone. Got it. Knight finally understood that this girl wanted to be a third party, and then successfully win favor and become the main wife. No fighting. Knight reminded again that if they fought, Juvia would definitely not be able to beat Ursha and would be beaten badly. Juvia, listen to Lord Knight. Does Lord Knight like Juvia? Juvia's eyes were full of expectation, and her face was slightly flushed. Knight thought about it, kissed her on the cheek, and answered seriously, you are very cute. After getting along with each other, everyone will like you. Who wouldn't like a girl who has eyes only for you? Except that jealousy is a bit annoying. Juvia felt like she was melting again after being praised. This time she was happy. She hugged Knight tightly and buried her head in his chest with joy. Knight felt the girl in his arms gradually change from warm water to hot water. You can even see white steam coming out of Juvia's head. At this point, Knight was not a wise man. He immediately held Juvia's face and kissed her. Juvia closed her eyes tightly, too shy to look at anyone. Knight hugged her and walked up the stairs while kissing her. Eat? Who else wants to eat? Eating Juvia is more important. The villa at night was quiet and dreamy. Juvia had a beautiful dream. She felt like a small boat in the sea, experiencing a fierce storm. The next day, when Knight woke up, Juvia was lying on him, staring at him with a ruddy face. Sir Knight, good morning. Knight couldn't help hugging her and kissing her again. So cute. He liked Juvia more and more. Hurry up and get up, can you go? I'll take you to see the president. Juvia shook her head shyly, hugged Knight, and didn't say anything. But her meaning was clear. She didn't want to get up. She just wanted to lie like this together. It would be best if they could stay together until the end of time. 083 Welcome to Fairy Tale Knight's Reversal Magic. Juvia refused to get up. In fact, the discomfort in her body made her wake up at dawn. She didn't move around after waking up. Knight liked to hold her panda when he slept. She was afraid that if she moved around, she would accidentally wake up Lord Knight. She lay sideways beside Knight, resting her head on his arm, staring at Nashi's sleeping face for a long time. Juvia even felt that she could keep watching and felt happy about it, then lied down for a while. Knight moved his arm, which was a little numb from the pillow, and hugged Juvia closer. Even if lovers don't do anything, just whispering in the pillow will release oxytocin in the body. It makes people feel happy and enhances the intimacy between each other. Juvia said softly, arched her head, and found a more comfortable position. As if she had found a harbor for her soul, she closed her eyes and enjoyed this warm morning. The soft sunlight in the early morning shone through the glass from the window, lighting up a corner of the bedroom. Knight looked at the girl in his arms with a peaceful smile on his face. He was now particularly curious about what Juvia was thinking. In other words, what will a girl think after a couple has sex? Juvia, Lord Knight, we can chat by voice. Knight came up with a good idea and immediately opened the magic network and sent a voice chat request to Juvia. Of course, it was the advanced version of voice. Juvia would not refuse any request from Knight, and she quickly agreed. This is a new feature after the 0.5 version update, and she has not used it yet. Therefore, she was a little confused. Juvia, voice chat, Knight, a function similar to telepathy magic, which can communicate with the mind. Juvia, Lord Knight's voice sounded in my mind. Mind communication. Great. Surprise, Juvia. Can you tell what's in your heart? When using it for the first time, Juvia's eyes flashed with surprise and astonishment. Knight, Juvia, what are you thinking about now? Juvia, what is Juvia thinking? Confused, Knight got the answer. The inner thoughts conveyed from Juvia were that she didn't think about anything. This girl was simply enjoying the feeling of lying together and hugging each other. Knight smiled and kissed her on the cheek. You are so cute. Then, the two whispered to each other in their minds. Until the sun was high, the two went into the bathroom to help each other wash. Considering Juvia's physical condition, Knight remained restrained. To be honest, it was a bit torturous. As we all know, testosterone is the most secreted in the morning. But Juvia's shy expression made him feel particularly interesting. After breakfast, no, it should be lunch. After lunch, Knight finally took Juvia away from the mansion in the suburbs. The house was originally purchased for Ursha, but Juvia was unexpectedly allowed to experience it first. Of course, Knight was still very happy about having another girlfriend. Ursha was a long way away, but Juvia could meet every day in the future. Ziak, Knight thought about it, opened the magic network, and simply clicked on the old man's friends. It shows offline. Sigma Man, President, have you finished writing your self-review? Sigma Man, I have something to ask you. Soon I saw Makarov online and sent a reply. Fairy Patriarch, your express delivery function helped me a lot. It was very convenient to send the self-review. Knight laughed out loud at this. Makarov is really miserable. It's everyone who caused trouble. He was the one who wrote the self-review every time. In the past, he could ask Mira for help. This time, a wizard guild was destroyed. The council was very angry and asked him to write it himself. I heard from Mira that he rewrote it at least 7 or 8 times. Juvia saw him suddenly laugh and couldn't help but be curious. Sir Knight? It's okay. I thought of something interesting. Knight shook his head. At this time, Makarov sent another private message. Fairy Patriarch, I am in the Eastern Forest, where you fought with Oration Cease last time. Fairy Patriarch, it just so happens that I have something to ask you. Please come over. Sigma Man, I understand. I will come right over, but I will bring someone with me. Sigma Man, it's Juvia Loxer, the former S-Class Wizard of Spectre. Fairy Patriarch, a Wizard of Spectre? Let's go together. The old man agreed without asking any more questions. Let's go. I'll take you to see the guild master. Knight turned off the magic net, pulled Juvia up, and headed towards the East Forest. Juvia suddenly became nervous. Her palms were throbbing. Lord Knight, Juvia is so nervous. Don't be nervous. The guild master is a very good old man. Lord Knight, do you usually call Mr. Makarov old man? I usually call him the guild master, and Natsu, Gray, and the others will call him old man. Knight simply told Juvia about the funny things that happened in the guild on weekdays. The girl's nervousness was quickly relieved during the chat. Juvia was very envious of this. Compared with Fairy Tale, the atmosphere of the Spectre ruler was more serious. But when he thought that he would be able to join soon and stay in the same guild with Lord Knight in the future, he suddenly became happy. Not long after, Eastern Forest, Knight came to the place where he had fought with Lisa, one of the 6 demons. He found that Makarov was planting trees. The old man used the giant magic and turned into a giant more than 10 meters tall. He planted the big trees that had collapsed due to the vibration one by one. Knight also found that the big pit that was originally blown out by his vibration ball was also filled and leveled. It turned out that it was not that the years were peaceful, but that someone was carrying the burden for him. You kid, but you made Polushka angry. Makarov planted a big tree in the ground and suddenly turned back into an old man. When he turned around, he remembered something. Oh, you haven't seen it yet. Polushka lives in seclusion in this forest. He was my good friend when I was young. I know, and I also know that Miss Polushka is Grandine from another world. Knight thought, if you think about it this way, Polushka is also a time traveler. Fellow countrymen. Fellow countrymen won't blame him for destroying the forest, right? President, she is Juvia. Knight gathered his scattered thoughts and introduced Juvia. Juvia folded her hands awkwardly and bowed to greet. Hello, President Makarov. Juvia is... No, now she's a free wizard. Good afternoon, little girl. Makarov smiled and greeted. You want to join our guild? Huh? How did you know? Fairy Tale welcomes you. Makarov smiled and didn't explain. He saw Knight mention Juvia Loxer in the private message and guessed it immediately. Otherwise, why do you say that old ginger is spicy? Juvia's face was full of surprise. Did she join Fairy Tale just like that? She turned her head and looked at Knight. Knight smiled back to the effect, are you relieved now? By the way, at this time, Makarov said, Knight, let's plant trees together. You're not allowed to leave until we finish planting today. Sedimci sit. Ah. Knight had no choice but to run into a trap. Juvia hurriedly said, Juvia, come and help too. So, the three of them started to get busy. Makarov said while planting trees. Before, the council asked me to write a self-criticism. I told them that I defeated Jose, but they didn't believe it. It was not true. I rewrote it for the 2.1 SD group. The council is certainly not stupid. The injuries Jose suffered were obviously caused by 2 super magic. Knight's vibration magic came first, and the fairy law came later. So, Knight, how did you beat Jose at that time? Makarov couldn't help but feel curious. That's my secret weapon. If you ask President, Knight immediately stretched out his right hand and murmured, Reversal magic flying thunder god. A golden magic circle suddenly unfolded. The next moment, a bottle of magic recovery potion was teleported from the warehouse of the suburban mansion to his palm in reverse. It's this, the magic recovery potion I've been researching recently. Seeing this, Makarov was stunned. Teleportation magic? No, it's a reverse teleportation magic circle, equivalent to a reverse summoning magic circle. How is this done? The old man was stunned, and he couldn't understand it at once with his magic level. Wait, magic recovery potion. Then, Makarov noticed the blue potion in Knight's hand, and his jaw dropped. 084 Makarov's shock. Learning the fairy law Knight explained the principle of the blue bottle's magic recovery and the knowledge of pharmacy required to prepare it. This was not difficult for Makarov to understand. On the contrary, its principle was so easy to understand that Makarov was a little dazed. Great, Lord Knight. Juvia also listened, her big eyes full of admiration. Great invention. Makarov came back to his senses after a while, looking at Nashi as if he was looking at a monster. No wonder he could beat Jose. Just prepare a few bottles of such magic recovery potions with you, and then combine them with the super magic master by night. If Jose didn't know, losing would be a high probability event. It's just some ordinary herbs. The cost won't be very high. Store the magic that you don't use on weekdays, and use it to recover when necessary. What a genius masterpiece. Makarov sighed from the bottom of his heart. This is simply an incredible invention. Of course, he can understand it. Behind this seemingly simple principle, it takes a lot of energy and time, as well as a moment of inspiration. Is there no other means of restoring mana? Knight couldn't help asking. URU was shocked by the blue potion, and so was the old man. He was a little curious about what the seniors in the magic world were doing. No one was researching potions to restore mana. There are 14, and there are many methods, but none of them are like yours. Makarov didn't know how to describe it. After thinking about it carefully, he said, take your internet magic as an example. Friends can communicate without obstacles no matter how far apart they are. Before your magic network appeared, if you wanted to do the same thing, You usually use the communication magic crystal. Communication magic crystal. Knight knew that there was such a thing in the guild warehouse. The appearance is a round crystal ball. The function is similar to that of a mobile phone, and you can see the other party's image when you contact. But both parties need to hold the same model to make long-distance calls. And it consumes a lot of mana. The farther the distance, the greater the consumption. Mira Jane mentioned this to him before, praising his magic network. If more people can accept it, the communication magic crystal will be eliminated sooner or later. The merchants who make and sell it will definitely hate Knight to death. I see. I think I understand. Knight understood a little. Many things are not absent from the magic world, but they are not advanced enough. The magic net is the same. Many of its functions have substitutes, but they are not convenient enough, or in other words, they are not as convenient as the magic net. This is another invention that can make you get the title of Holy 10. Makarov couldn't help laughing and said, "If the council knew, they might come to you overnight to ask for advice." "President, I just made it for fun, so don't tell the council." Knight thought it was troublesome, and he is already a Holy 10, so it's useless to give him another Holy 10 medal. "Can you summon the god Anxaramal by collecting 7 pieces?" Makarov shook his head and said, "You decide. Compared to this, what's the matter with your teleportation magic just now?" "You said reversal magic?" Knight was very confident at this point. The magic recovery potion was the result of the system, but the reverse magic Flying Thunder God was his serious research result. For ordinary Flying Thunder God, a magic circle needs to be left at the target object, and then the caster can instantly move to the position marked by the magic circle. And the reverse magic, Flying Thunder God, is to leave a reversed magic circle at the target object, and then the caster can summon the object to his side. Knight explained the principle, and then pointed to his 6 eyes. The latter is 10 times more difficult than the former, and requires very precise magic control. I can only complete it with the help of these eyes. 10 times is just a general term, not a real quantification. After listening, Makarov couldn't help but praise. "Amazing results. This kind of reversal magic can be used more, Knight. You could do in-depth research in this area later." He thought of the law of fairies. This super magic was originally modified based on the law of dark magic, thus becoming light magic. "Understood, President." Knight nodded. He also felt that reversal magic had great potential. Flying Thunder God is okay, but the others are not? Come here. I said I would teach you the fairy law before, so let's start from now." Makarov secretly made up his mind that he was old, and it was time to train the next generation of president. As for the candidates, there are several. Laxus, Gildarts, Urza. Now, there is another Knight. Compared with the first 3, as his grandson, Laxus has some personality problems and doesn't know how to communicate with others, which gives him some headaches. As for Gildarts, he is not in the guild all year round. As for Urza, sometimes she is too serious. That looks good. In short, you could try to train him first. Seeing that Makarov finally had time to teach him the fairy law, Nell immediately walked to the old man. The fairy law is one of the 3 major super magics of our fairy tale. You don't have to worry about the other 2 for the time being. Makarov continued to plant trees and dig holes while teaching. As a super magic, even if I teach you in person, whether you can learn it depends on whether you can understand it yourself. I will try my best. Knight nodded immediately. Makarov smiled and said, "With your talent, you can probably learn it, so don't feel pressured. First of all, it is a kind of law representing the judgment of the caster. If your heart is towards darkness, it will become the judgment of darkness, and the nature of magic will change. Secondly, if the magic power is not deep enough, forcing it to be used will also be accompanied by strong side effects. Powerful magic often has similar flaws, and the law of the goblins is like this. The more enemies you conquer, the shorter your life will be. It is a magic that needs to be used with caution." At this point, Makarov paused for a moment before turning to look at Knight. "After understanding this, do you still want to learn it?" "Of course." Knight nodded without hesitation. It's better to have more skills than less. And who cares about side effects when you have to use them? Besides, he didn't think that life would be a problem that bothered him. As the magic power became stronger and stronger, he felt that he could live a long, long time. Since you have made a decision, let's get started. Makarov smiled with satisfaction. So for the next whole day, Knight spent all his time studying. 667, of course. He mainly listened to Makarov's explanation, and he had to plant trees at the same time. The difficulty of practicing super magic is obviously higher than that of the thought body. But Knight understood it very quickly, and he didn't think he couldn't learn it. Time passed quietly in the harmony between man and nature. The three of them were busy until the sun set, and finally planted all the fallen trees in the forest. That's it. Don't make Polyusica angry next time. Makarov frowned. She scolded me before. I must pay attention next time. Knight used the bear's hand spread. .jpg. Makarov shook his head helplessly and turned to look at Juvia. Report to the guild tomorrow, and I will introduce you to everyone then. Yes, Juvia will be on time. Juvia nodded hurriedly. I heard that the guild is being rebuilt, and Juvia also wants to help. Good kid. Makarov smiled happily. Go back. After saying goodbye to the president, Knight took Juvia back to the mansion in the suburbs. At night, Knight did not force Juvia. Although Juvia is made of water, very smooth, and a great water magician, but it will still hurt when it hurts. So let her rest for 2 days. In order not to torture himself, Knight chose to return to the apartment and sleep alone. Halfway through the journey, he suddenly received a task from the system. Task: the number of registered users of Magic Internet exceeds 30,000. Reward: Time Worm. It was very sudden, and he was not prepared. Compared to the task itself, Knight cared a little about the reward. Time Worm: 0.85. Time Worm: Urza the Diligent, 4/4 asking for monthly ticket. Time Bug. Knight whispered, looking up at the street. Don't meet anyone wearing monocles. It's creepy. Is it magic? Time magic? Or magic to summon bugs? It's just a name, and the specific reward will only be known after the task is completed. He took a look at the current number of registered users on Magic Internet. Total number of registered users: 9119. This is less than 10,000 people, 2/3 away from the task target. Speaking of which, the total number of first-generation rings obtained from the system is 11,100. Knight still has more than 1,000 left. Even if all are activated, it's still far from enough. Needs second-generation rings. Thinking of this, Knight walked towards the apartment while opening his friends and sent a message to Lucy's father. Sigma Man. Mr. Gioda, good evening. How is the first batch of rings being made? Judah Hartfilia. We have prepared a batch of about 30,000 rings. Do you need them now? Isn't this a coincidence? Knight walked to the door of the apartment and met Lucy. Knight. Good evening, Lucy. Knight greeted her and saw that she wanted to run away like she did in the morning, so he quickly grabbed her wrist. Why are you running? Knight was speechless. I didn't run. Lucy refused to admit it, and her face turned slightly red. I noticed that she was holding some vegetables and meat in her hands and seemed to be preparing to cook. Knight thought about it and smiled. Let's go and have a meal with your dad. No, let's go. Knight immediately activated the time-space magic flying thunder god. The last time he went to visit, he deliberately left the coordinates for future visits. A golden magic circle unfolded under the feet of the two, and the light flashed. In Lucy's blank expression, the two disappeared at the same time. At the same time, the Hartfilia family, in front of the gilded statue in front of the villa. The golden magic circle unfolded, and Lucy and Knight appeared here in an instant. My home. Lucy opened her eyes wide. This teleportation magic is too convenient. Such a long distance back in an instant. Knight let go of his hand and walked into the villa first. Is anyone there? Lucy had to follow the ingredients for dinner and saw the familiar maid coming from the corridor to the hall. Mrs. Spett! Exclamation point. The middle-aged maid Spett was surprised. Miss Lucy, Master Knight. Why are you calling me Master? I'm not into it. Knight thought and asked, Is Mr. Judah here? The Master is in the restaurant. It seems to be dinner time. You don't mind if I add meal. Knight took Lucy with him again and walked towards the restaurant without any hesitation. Lucy's villa is very luxurious, with 3 restaurants alone. Main restaurant, servant restaurant, guest restaurant. The last time she had dinner with Judah was in the main restaurant. Knight knew the way. Lucy immediately rolled her eyes at him. Whose house is this? When the two came to the main restaurant, they saw Judah Hartfilia. Judah was very happy about his daughter and Knight's sudden return, and immediately asked the kitchen to prepare more food. It was a very pleasant dinner. After dinner, Knight and Judah came to the study. Judah asked someone to take out the 30,000 second-generation rings that had been prepared. I acquired several magic prop workshops and asked the prop masters to make trial works. Do you think they meet the requirements? As expected of a rich man, a big chable, he made 30,000 trial works at a time. Knight was envious, opened the box, grabbed a handful of rings from it, and nodded after sampling and observing. No problem. After I add internet magic to them, they can be put on the market for sale. If there is a problem, it is that the materials used do not look very good. Capitalists are experts in reducing costs. That's good. Judah breathed a sigh of relief. He has been under a lot of pressure recently. He rejected the marriage proposal from the Kiyu Rainier family and offended them. The railway company had previously expanded blindly and entered the South, investing a huge amount of money, which has led to problems with its capital chain. If the Hartfilia Chable cannot rely on the ring to open up a huge market, it may be in big trouble. Of course, he couldn't say these words to Lucy, but he could talk to Knight. This company is the result of the joint efforts of him and Lucy's mother, and he must keep it no matter what. It seems that you have encountered a lot of trouble. Knight added internet magic to the ring while saying to Judah, "Is someone eyeing the Hartfilia Chable?" In the original book, it suddenly went bankrupt and was acquired, which must have been done by someone. Judah nodded. There are some troubles, but don't worry, the ring will not be delayed. I'm worried about your personal safety. The struggle between capital is much more dangerous than the battle between wizards. Hartfilia Railway Company. What a big piece of fat meat is that? Judah was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Knight to care about his safety. He couldn't help but laugh. No, those people's goal is only the company. At the same time, he thought, I don't know how far Knight and Lucy have come. Haven't they started dating yet? Young people just don't understand. As long as he is brave enough to express his feelings, he will probably agree with his daughter. Judah already regards Knight as half a son-in-law, hoping that he can get along well with Lucy. Knight pondered for a moment and suggested, I talked to the speaker of the council before. The council needs a large number of magic net rings. Mr. Judah, you can add the speaker as a friend and cooperate with the council. Selling rings is one thing, and getting Judah an official cooperative merchant of the council is a brilliant move. Council? Judah was shocked. As an excellent businessman, he understood the subtext instantly. He couldn't help but admire Knight more and more, wondering whether he should help this kid. But forget it. I promised Lucy not to interfere in her life before, so as not to cause her daughter's disgust and backfire. I know. I will visit you later. Judah made up his mind to take the ring to the council tomorrow. Although communication can be done on the magic network, sincerity is not enough. Knight has no objection to this. It took half an hour to add internet magic to more than 30,000 rings. Judah called a maid and asked her to put on the ring to test whether it was smooth. After everything was fine, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. So, he kindly invited Knight to stay overnight. Knight did not refuse. The next day, Knight brought Lucy return to Magnolia. How come Dad is closer to you than to me? Who is the biological child? After returning, Lucy couldn't help but complain about her coquettishness. We are one family, but we are talking about different things. Knight teased. Who is your family? I'm going to the guild. Lucy blushed and hurried to the guild. The eldest lady's reaction is always so interesting. Okay. Knight thought with a smile. Next, wait for Judah to sell the ring, and the task could be completed, right? While thinking, Knight went home to take a shower, thinking that the tool man of the missing body was idle. So he arranged to continue writing code. Just make a new game. There are only 3 games in the game section, which is a bit monotonous. The next few days are all peaceful daily routines. In the morning, he temporarily went to the guild to eat breakfast, made by Mira. At noon, Juvia would prepare a lunchbox for him. At night, Lucy was his exclusive little cook. Of course, Knight did not forget to learn the law of fairies from Makarov. At noon that day, the guild was under construction. Urza suddenly found him. Knight, look at this. She pointed her own magic net forum, one of the posts. I asked a question on a magic net, and someone finally gave information about the Tower of Heaven. Knight looked at her posting record curiously. Urza is really diligent. Since she came back from the council headquarters with him, she has been posting every day. Shocked. Tower of Heaven is actually 086 one-day trip to a resort hotel with Urza. Urza's posts strictly follow the shock style. There are at least 10 posts in total, and each one starts with shock. Knight didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I think you're a little too serious in this regard. He turned his head to look at Urza beside him. She frowned slightly. People who are good-looking even when they frown. Because Knight was sitting and she was standing, Urza could only lower her head, and her long crimson hair fell on both sides of her cheeks. She lifted her long hair behind her ears, revealing the black crystal earrings Knight had given her before. She looked puzzled. Didn't you teach me this? This can attract others to click in. That's right, but the point is not shock, but the words after it. Knight complained his heart. You used the wrong words seriously. Urza seemed to be hit stiff by a sentence, and she remained motionless in the posture of lifting her hair with a decadent atmosphere in her eyes. It feels so hard to understand. Even Urza has her weaknesses. Knight chuckled. It's not important. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Take a look at this first. As if she felt a little tired standing, Urza simply sat down next to Knight. There were 7 or 8 long square logs piled together under their buttocks. They were the building materials needed to rebuild the guild. Knight was supposed to carry them, but Knight was obviously lazy and used them as stools to rest his feet. 060 Knight looked in the direction Urza pointed, clicked on the latest post, and found one of the comments. Samurai, I know. Add me as a friend. Then what? Knight looked at her sideways. Then I added you as a friend. Urza opened a private message and showed the chat content to Knight without any care. Knight, excuse me, do you know Tower of Heaven? Samurai, I see you have been asking about Tower of Heaven on the forum recently. Your nickname on the Magic Network is Knight. I can probably guess who you are. Samurai, Fairy Tales Wizard, Fairy Queen, Urza Shukalet, right? Knight, yes, I am Urza. Knight, as expected of Urza, she admitted it seriously after being opened. Knight is the name of Urza's magic, and its full name is Clothes Magic Knight. There's also a female magician named Biska in the guild, and her magic is Clothes Magic Gunner. Urza is a very famous magician, and she is often interviewed by the weekly magazine Sosura. Her own magic is already public information. But even so, it's amazing that the other party can guess the identity from the nickname. Knight continues to read. Knight, I want to know the information of Tower of Heaven. I can give you 2,000 points as a reward. Samurai, Tower of Heaven, our system avatar, Samurai, I do know the specific location of a Tower of Heaven. Samurai, if you want to know, come to this place. Your friend, Samurai, sent you a courier. Do you want to receive it? Knight, what is this? Knight, are you there? The chat ends here. That person sent me this. Urza took out a golden piece of paper from the pocket of her skirt. Knight took it and looked at it. Accommodation coupon. The words free accommodation coupon were written on the paper. This is a free accommodation coupon for the Akane Resort Hotel. At this time, Levy happened to pass by and said in surprise, Knight, how do you have this? It's very hard to get. You have to win a prize to get it. Arcane Resort Hotel. Knight felt that it sounded familiar. Yes, Arcane Resort Paradise, the most famous seaside tourist destination in the kingdom of Fiori. Levy nodded, revealing an outrageous look in her eyes that said, you didn't even know. There are amusement parks, resort hotels, etc. over there. With this accommodation voucher, you can play for free for a whole day, and it also provides free accommodation. Speaking of this, I suddenly widened his eyes. He kept looking back and forth between Knight and Urza. Suddenly covered his mouth. Don't get me wrong. This is Urza Beaches. Knight explained helplessly. Urza. Levy was even more surprised. As a girl who likes to read novels, She has already imagined a big drama of a love triangle. Night Mira, Urza. Hiss, so scary. No, so exciting. Levy said excitedly. Sorry, I disturbed you, bye. Then he slipped away in a flash. Night. No, sister, although I don't know what you misunderstood, but you must have misunderstood something. Urza seemed to be unaware of this misunderstanding and was thinking seriously. Will it be a trap? She started to make a plan very reliably. But with you and me, there is no need to worry even if it is a trap. When the time comes, I will go out to meet that person, Night. You hide in the dark, and once there is a problem, you will join forces with me to fight the enemy as soon as possible. Wait, why is your plan based on my going too? I was about to say something. Urza has already pulled his arm vigorously. What are you waiting for, Night? If you leave now, you can still arrive before the evening. Night, I have a date with Juvia at a luxury house in the suburbs tonight. The date is ruined. Knight got on the train to the resort paradise of Arcane and sent a private message to Juvia on the train to express his apology. Sitting opposite was Urza. Urza, do you realize a problem? Knight had to explain the situation in advance. What's the problem? We only have one ticket. Knight spread his hands. Urza thought about it seriously. It doesn't matter. We can stay in the same room. Isn't this bad? Knight nodded. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go quickly. The train is dawdling. Why hasn't it started yet? We can't catch up. Urza couldn't help but laugh. How can you be so happy to share a room with me? Don't get me wrong. I'm just worried about you. Knight said righteously. Think about it. We don't know if that samurai is a man or a woman, and we don't know how many people are behind him, and he might even be a black magician lurking in the forum. How can I be sure that you can go alone? We are companions in the same guild, and we are family. Urza is not a person with a low sense of laughter, and she is usually more serious than smiling. But this time, she couldn't help but smile. She looks so beautiful when she smiles. Knight thought, this face should smile more, and she's honest and serious. Are you the class leader? Thank you, Knight. Urza's smile faded quickly, and Tianfin thanked her seriously. Knight shook his head helplessly. Just smile more, just as a thank you. Really? Urza touched the corner of her mouth, and her heart was gently touched. 087 Magic Network Information Monitoring. Urza's lap pillow service Sigma Man. I'm sorry, Juvia. Something happened, so tonight's date is canceled. Sunny Doll. Juvia understands. Crying and acting cute. JPG. Sunny Doll. Sir Knight. Juvia wants to help too? Sigma Man. It's just a small matter. If everything goes well, I'll be back tomorrow. Sigma Man. Be obedient. I'll bring you a gift. Sunny Doll. Juvia is looking forward to excited. JPG. Sunny Doll. Sir Knight must be safe. The magic train started slowly, clang, clang, and drove to the destination. Knight comforted his second girlfriend and then closed the private chat interface. Arcane Resort. He was a little familiar with this place name, and after Levy's reminder, he had remembered it. It was a place name that appeared in the Tower of Heaven chapter. So this is Jelal's person? Knight thought and immediately closed his eyes, and his consciousness entered the deep web. The world of 0 and 1. A wooden house in the snow. You leaned back in a casual posture, holding his chin with one hand and quickly flipping through the information flowing on the entire network with the other hand. You. Call up the Magic Network account nicknamed Warrior. After hearing the voice, Rue found that there was an extra person behind him. She didn't ask anything, and quickly used the secondary Magic Network authority given to her by Knight to call out all the information of the Warrior. Registration date, active time, speech record, friend list, and so on. The traces left by this account on the Magic Network were displayed in front of Knight without a single leak. Is there any problem with this person? It's just a small problem. Don't worry about it. Knight's eyes quickly swept over and finally stopped at the friend list. The Warrior's friend column only has 5 friends. They are Ziklian, Knight, Cat is so cute, Round Wally, and Cardmaster. As expected, Knight nodded and ordered, call up the chat history of the Warrior. Soon, he saw the information he wanted. Chat with Zekline. Zekline, the time is ripe. Go and bring Urza back. Warrior, understood, Lord Jalal. Chat group, a family in paradise. Warrior, At everyone, prepare to act, find a way to bring Urza back. Cardmaster, is it finally done? Tower of Heaven. Cardmaster, Sister Urza, will we be able to see her soon? Round Wally, how many of us? It's too dangerous to go to Magnolia. Cardmaster, she has been posting on the forum, recently asking about Tower of Heaven. Let's just think of a way to make her come to us on her own initiative. Cat is so cute. I have a few tickets for the Arcane Resort. Meow, cheerful Wally. Is it time to discuss vacation now? Miriam, warrior. Miriam, can you give me one? Cat is so cute. Okay, meow, cheerful Wally. Simon, let's wait for the vacation. Now we have to find a way to bring Urza back. Warrior, that's why we need tickets. So it's Simon? Knight vaguely remembers the names of these people. Cat is so cute. It's Catwoman Miriam. Carmaster, real name is Hugh. Cheerful Wally, just Wally. Warrior, Simon. These people are Urza's cellmates in the Tower of Heaven when she was a child. Jalal is also. However, Jalal was brainwashed by Ursha and fell into darkness. He controlled the entire Tower of Heaven and tried to revive the Black Wizard Zerif. Only Urza escaped alone. The people who stayed behind were deceived by Jalal's lies and mistakenly thought that Urza had betrayed them. Speaking of which, Tower of Heaven really has a lot of talents. Knight complained in his heart. Needless to say, Jalal's group of people, he remembered that there were also several people from Araciancies who came from that place. Consciousness returned to reality. Knight slowly opened his eyes and heard Urza's voice. Are you sleepy? Knight shook his head, thought for a while, and asked, Urza, why are you looking for Tower of Heaven? As far as I know, its real name is her system, which is a forbidden magic banned by the council. You know her system? Urza showed a surprised expression and then was silent for a moment. If it's inconvenient to say, just pretend I didn't ask. Knight certainly knew why, but he was just bored and chatted with Urza for a few words. Ah, I should say sorry for forcibly involving you. Urza pursed her lips and said softly, It's my duty to tell you. That was when I was a child. She slowly told her own experience. When she was a child, Urza lived in a place called Rosemary Village. Suddenly one day, the Avatar attacked the village, captured her, and brought her to Tower of Heaven. Knight knew roughly what happened afterwards. In the end, Grandpa Rob sacrificed himself to save me, and I also awakened magic because of this. After escaping from Tower of Heaven, I joined Fairy Tale. I've been investigating Tower of Heaven for these years, just to find out if those friends back then are still alive. Urza paused with a nostalgic tone and looked up to see that Knight had fallen asleep. It was you who asked me, and it was you who fell asleep. With a slight arc at the corner of her mouth, Urza stood up and sat next to Knight, and then gently put his head on her shoulder. It's so hard. Knight opened his eyes helpless. You didn't sleep? Even if I fell asleep, I would be woken up by your armor. Urza was a little embarrassed. If you're very sleepy, I can lend you my legs as a pillow. Knee pillow. Knight moved his buttocks and put his head on Urza's thigh without any courtesy. Urza's upper body was in daily armor, but her lower body was in a blue skirt. Comfortable thigh pillow, fragrant and soft. Urza really treats him as a brother, Knight thought, squinting his eyes in enjoyment. He doesn't care whether he is a brother or not, but he is a little sleepy. It was also the first time for Urza to provide knee pillow service to someone. She lowered her eyes and looked at Knight's sleeping face quietly. After learning that Zekrian was Jalal's thought body, Urza already understood clearly. If she relied on herself alone, even if she found the Tower of Heaven, it would be difficult to rescue her friends from the past, if they were alive. She hoped to get Knight's help. Only Knight had such power in the guild, and Knight didn't ask much, and simply chose to act with her. Although she was forced to come here, Knight would not let her take it away easily if she didn't want to. Urza smiled. Have a good rest, Knight. I will wake you up when we get there. 088, your magic is fun, but it's mine now. Arcane Resort Paradise. As the most popular seaside tourist destination in the Kingdom of Fiori, it has a complete range of entertainment facilities. Unfortunately, when Knight arrived here, it was already past 7 in the evening. There was no way to enjoy the sun, the beach, the swimsuits, and the beauties. So, the two went to the hotel to check in first. The free accommodation voucher in Urza's hand can be used to stay in a high-end room. The room is very spacious, and you can directly see the view of the shipwreck from the balcony. However, what Knight is most satisfied with is that there is only one bed in the room. 2 guests. I wish you a happy vacation. I am Winnie, the hotel housekeeper, and I am happy to serve you. The housekeeper is a woman in her 30s who behaves politely. She did not show any impatience because of the free accommodation voucher. It is now 7:15 in the evening. There is a leisure and entertainment venue on the first floor of this hotel. If you're interested, you're welcome to experience it at any time. When Knight came up to the second floor, he saw the so-called leisure and entertainment venue by the way. It's 000 is actually a casino. After sending the hotel housekeeper away, Knight turned to look at Urza. Seeing that she was still dressed in her daily armor, he immediately walked over. Why are you still wearing this? Knight pushed Urza's shoulder and took her to a full-length mirror. Do you look like you're on vacation? ? Urza was a little confused and couldn't help but say, aren't we here to see the samurai? We can talk about it tomorrow. It's late today, and now it's time to relax. Change your clothes and go to the entertainment venue downstairs. Knight urged with a smile, or, do you want to go to the food and the layers first? Hearing him say this, Urza was also a little moved. Looking at herself in the mirror wearing armor, she thought, I am more or less a hopeless woman. I always feel uneasy when I don't wear armor. Change clothes. A golden light flashed, and Urza changed into a dress. Is this okay? She showed herself in the mirror. A purple dress, paired with long white gloves and a pair of purple high heels. Your dress-up magic is really convenient. Knight nodded in appreciation. Very beautiful. Let's go. Since we are here, relax when it's time to relax. As he said that, he pulled Urza and walked out. When they arrived at the first floor, the handsome men and beautiful women still attracted a lot of attention as soon as they appeared. The magnificent casino, every detail reveals luxury and style. There are many guests in the venue, and all kinds of recreational facilities are available. Unlike the gambling machines Knight knows, this is a magical world. Even the casino uses props. The only friendly thing is the card table. Knight asked Urza beside him, what do you want to play? Play cards, I'm good at this. Urza smiled lightly. Knight, do you know how many happy beans I won playing Happy Landlord recently? Very powerful. I used 10,000 happy beans and won 10 million. Urza was quite proud of this. Knight opened his mouth, not knowing how to say it. You are an S-class wizard. You don't work every day, just stay at home and play games, right? Internet addict girl. Come on, let me see how good you are. The two came to the card table and joined the gambling. Urza seemed very skilled. Knight learned a little about the rules, which were similar to poker, using 5 cards to compare the size. Game after game, Knight's chips became less and less. But the chips in front of Urza were piled up like a mountain. Knight was shocked. Is the girl a gambling god? She didn't lose a single game. Flush was like an obedient puppy and would run obediently into Urza's hands. The dealer was already sweating. Did you cheat with magic? Knight leaned close to Urza's ear and whispered, but it's impossible. In front of his 6 eyes, if Urza cheated, he would have discovered it long ago. Urza laughed. Do you believe it? A woman favored by strong luck. You are awesome. Knight envied her luck. Suddenly, Knight raised his eyebrows slightly and looked up at the dealer who was sweating profusely. It's time to change hands. The new dealer had dark skin and golden hair. After letting the previous dealer leave, the dark-skinned dealer began to skillfully organize the cards. Urza was still smiling, full of confidence in front of Knight. Now, no matter who deals the cards, I don't feel like I will lose. In that case, how about playing a special game, Sister Urza? Urza was stunned when she heard the name of her sister. In the blink of an eye, 5 cards were dealt in front of her, and they were face up. However, unlike ordinary poker cards, these 5 cards were all letters. Death. Death. You are. Urza looked at the dealer. Her expression was startled. Shio. Car magic. Shio ignored it and activated his own magic. I saw that the 5 cards representing the meaning of death suddenly unfolded a magic circle. Knight could clearly feel that this was magic coming towards him. Space magic? Six eyes could easily see through this magic, but Knight had no intention of resisting. The next moment, a strong suction force seemed to come out from the magic circle. Nate was sucked into the card. This scene shocked the people around, and they screamed and fled. "What are you doing?" Urza's face changed slightly. She saw a smaller version of Knight in the A-letter card. "What am I doing?" "It's you, sister. What are you doing?" Zio's tone was cold. "While I and other companions were experiencing pain in the Tower of Heaven, my sister was dating a man here. Isn't this unfair?" Urza didn't expect to see her old friend here. At this time, 3 more people came from behind and blocked Urza's retreat. "Long time no see, Urza." "Urza-chan, you are here as expected." "How many years?" 8 years. Urza turned her head and was stunned for a moment. "Simon, Wally, Miriam, are you all still alive?" "Saw the Urza," Simon said expressionlessly. "Can you please return to the paradise with us?" "You are a samurai." Urza opened her eyes wide and reacted at this time. "Yes, I am a samurai. I gave you your accommodation voucher, but I didn't expect." Simon nodded, but he didn't finish his words. Knight's voice interrupted him. "I didn't expect you to bring a man." Inside the card, Knight felt that he was in a closed space. There was only one window in the small space circled in white. From the window, he could clearly see the situation outside. "Shut up," Zio snorted. "I know you. I've seen your poster in the weekly Sosara section. The new 10 Wizard Saints." As he spoke, he picked up the A card and cast a stern look at Nat on the card. "If we were to fight head-on, it would be difficult for us to take Urza away, but now you've been trapped in the car by my magic and can't do anything." Knight raised his hand and punched. Bang! The vibration force was instantly transmitted from the card to the real 3.1 world. The whole resort hotel was shaking slightly, and the ceiling seemed to collapse at any time. Shio was shocked. "It's useless, my magic is..." However, he hadn't finished speaking. The surface of the card was covered with cracks, and with a bang, it shattered like a small mirror. "How is it possible?" Shio blurted out in shock. "You broke the space?" "It's just a fragile little space. What's the problem?" Knight got out of the card and appeared behind the gambling table. He picked up the D card casually, played with it between his fingers, and then electrocuted Shio. Shio was stunned and subconsciously clamped the flying D card. However, a magic circle suddenly unfolded. Shio felt a strong suction force, and in a blink of an eye, he was sealed in the card minister. Knight caught the slowly falling D card and smiled at the dark devil on the card. "Your magic is interesting, but it's mine now." 089 Knight. "You are a genius." Urza reports Jalal, 4/4 for monthly tickets. Shio. Simon was shocked. Mariana blinked blankly. "It shows magic. Why could he meow too?" Wally's right hand turned into a square magic gun, his face full of disbelief. "Copy? What's going on?" It's impossible that he learned it instantly. A laser shot out from his magic gun, and a small red light spot appeared on the back of Knight's head. Urza, who was sitting at the card table, was also a little surprised. But she knew that Knight mastered the time-space magic Flying Thunder God, which is an extremely powerful space magic, and has a high level of attainment in space magic. Shio's magic looks like car magic, but the ability to seal people in the card obviously also involves space. Maybe he really mastered it instantly. What an amazing man, Urza thought in her heart. "Let me out. BD. You actually used my magic to seal me." In the D card, Shio banged on the card. Knight rotated the card, letting the D card rotate back and forth between his hands. Before he crossed over, he had learned some magic to flirt with his senior schoolmate. This was the card-flying technique in magic. "Pointing a gun at me is no joke. Surrender now, and I won't do anything to you." Knight turned around while playing cards. Seeing this, Simon took decisive action. A moment. Simon had a turban on his head and a black eye patch on his left eye. His face was disfigured when he was a child, so his mouth, jaw, and cheeks were protected by iron. Suddenly, a strong red light burst out from his right eye. A purple-black magic circle unfolded. Then, the lights of the casino seemed to disappear abruptly, and everything around them fell into darkness. Urza was shocked. Even Simon learned magic? She couldn't see her fingers when she stretched out her hand. Simon immediately reminded his companions. Miliana understood cat bondage. Miliana used cat magic to throw out a pipe rope like a cat's tail, which wrapped around Knight's wrist in an instant. The darkness came quickly and went quickly. When the light reappeared, Urza immediately stood up from the gambling table, trying to stop the conflict between the two sides. Wait a minute, Knight, they're my old friends. Don't hurt them first. Full of spirit, Urza-chan. Miriam tilted her head like a cat. He is bound and entangled by my cat, and he can no longer use magic, meow. Wally's right arm was like a pile of blocks combined into a gun, separated from his body, and the muzzle was aimed at Knight's forehead. Still infrared aiming. We're the ones who have the advantage now, Urza. He snorted. Mr. Ten Wizard Saints, let our companions out first, otherwise, with a bang, your head will explode like a watermelon. Knight raised his left hand. His wrist was wrapped by a pipe rope, and the flow of magic power in his body became stagnant. Why do you think I can't use magic? Knight was a little confused with a slight smile on his face. It's just a rope. I can break free from this degree of seal with just my strength. As soon as the voice fell, Knight's magic power burst out from his body, and the white magic power visible to the naked, I instantly tore the pipe rope apart. Then a magic shield was formed around him. What kind of magic power? Simon was shocked and felt that there was a strong typhoon on the other side, and a strong sense of oppression enveloped him. Miriam was stunned. My cat. This is the first time I have seen someone break free from meow. Damn, I never heard that it can be done like this. Wally was shocked. What monster? Is this the new 10 Wizard Saints? Zio's card seal was broken by a punch, and now even Miriam's cat restraints are useless. In the battle between wizards, the strength of Guanli does not represent an absolute victory or defeat. Knight chuckled, brushed his right hand across the card table, and grabbed the remaining 3 cards with the letters E, T, and H in his hand. But when a magic power gap is too huge, the fancy magic loses its meaning. After that, 3 cards were thrown out. They flew towards Simon, Wally, and Miriam respectively. Knight's card throwing skills were very good. When these 3 cards hit the 3 people, 3 magic circles were instantly unfolded. The next moment, the 3 people were sealed by the card. It's troublesome. I can't break it. It's exactly the same as Zio's magic. I didn't expect the mission to fail. Let me out, meow. The shouts of 3 people came from the 3 cards, and the cards fell lightly to the ground. Knight walked over, picked up the 3 cards, and said to the 3 people inside, card magic, cat magic, body, splitting magic, and dark magic. The magic of the 4 of you is quite interesting, but it's a pity that you have too little magic power and can't practice it well. A small conflict broke out very suddenly, but ended even faster. Urza is still a little confused. The 4 childhood friends actually learned magic, and they also wanted to take her back to Tower of Heaven. Wally, what do you mean by mission? She walked to Knight and asked the card that sealed Wally. Did Jalal ask you to come? Why did you obey him? Urza, you betrayed us, and you still have the nerve to ask this now. Inside the card, Wally narrowed his eyes. Betrayal? Urza's body trembled. When she escaped from the Tower of Heaven, she really didn't have the ability to help them escape. How could Urza betray? Knight flicked his finger at the card, and with a thud, Wally and the card was ejected. I think you have some misunderstandings. Maybe Jalal deceived you? What? Zio's face changed slightly. At this time, Simon took a deep breath. He is right. It is indeed Jalal who deceived us. Wally was stunned. What are you talking about, Simon? I also pretended to be deceived by him to gain his trust. On the day Urza escaped from the Tower of Heaven, Jalal told them that Urza stole a ship, abandoned her companions, and fled alone. Now that the Tower of Heaven has been built, Urza, Jalal's goal is to use you as a living sacrifice to revive the legendary black wizard Zirif. After a pause, Simon continued, not only that, Zekrian of the Council is Jalal's thought body. I only knew about this after seeing his nickname on the Magic Network. Jalal added him as a friend, and the nickname was Zekrian. Urza's body trembled slightly, and she clenched her fists. Sure enough, Zekrian 853 is Jelal. She couldn't help but look at Knight. Knight's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes were the third time. He could guess what this girl was going to say next. Quickly interrupted. Urza, it's already late today. Why don't we go have a meal first and talk about it tomorrow? He stacked 4 cards together, pulled Urza up, and walked toward the restaurant. But, Jalal, if we don't stop him quickly, we don't know what he will do. Urza was dragged away, and she didn't resist, but her face was a little anxious. Why don't you worry about being used as a living sacrifice? Knight complained his heart, stopped, and faced this serious girl. You can report to the council. Report? Urza blinked blankly. This is the council's job. Besides, if you report that Zekrian is Jalal's thought body, the council will thank you. Knight pulled her and continued to walk towards the restaurant. Anyway, let's eat first. Nothing in the world is more important than his date with Urza. Urza's eyes lit up, and her face was full of praise. Knight, you are a genius. She immediately opened the magic net and was about to report Jalal to the council. It just so happens that there is a section called Magic Review House ERA on the Magic Network, which has a function for accepting reports. Knight, genius. Urza thought happily and moved very quickly. Being led by Knight, she didn't even need to look at the road. Before she even got close to the restaurant, the report had already been sent out. 090, the Guild Coalition Forces attack Jalal Magic Council ERA. It has been 4 or 5 days since the section was launched. Thanks to the efforts of Speaker Crawford Shim, the entire section has been completely renewed, which is completely different from the empty situation when it was first launched. The section has many functions. Reporting is just one of them, and there are special council magicians in charge. As for the content of the report, it is varied. For example, reporting that a certain account may be a black magician lurking in the Magic Network, formerly known as Death God Aragorn. For example, where have the traces of the activities of the Dark Guild been found recently, etc. Because it is a newly launched section, the enthusiasm of the Magic Network users is very high, and a lot of reports have been received these days. Crawford Shim praised this. The emergence of the official section has greatly increased the efficiency of the council and strengthened the management of the magic world. At this time, it was more than 8 o'clock in the evening. Crawford Shim was still working at his post. Suddenly, a young magician rushed in. What's the matter? Why are you so flustered? Chairman, I just received a report online about Counselor Zekeline. The wizard explained solemnly. The reporter's nickname is Knight, and his real identity is Urza Shukalet, the fairy queen of fairy tale. Crawford Shim frowned slightly. Urza reported Zekeline. He opened the official section of the council and saw Urza's report letter in the report section. It was written in a long and fluent manner. Crawford Shim read it patiently and became more and more frightened. Urza revealed her identity and reported it in her real name. He kept 70% trust in the authenticity of the content. Jalal, our system, the 8th Tower of Heaven. Zekray is Jalal's thought body clone. Aren't they twin brothers? Is this true? Crawford Shim took a breath. His back wet with cold. Jalal has completed the construction of the 8th Tower of Heaven and is preparing to capture Urza and use her as a living sacrifice to revive the Black Wizard Zerif. If this happens, he will be finished. He will definitely lose his position as the speaker. At the end of the report, Urza also brought up Knight and said that it was Knight who discovered that Zekray was a thought body. If she didn't believe it, she could take Simon and other witnesses to the council headquarters and confront Zekray face to face. Crawford Shim took a deep breath and reached out to wipe the cold sweat off his head. He only believed 70% of Urza's report, but he could believe 90% of Knight's words. After all, the magic network he was using now was created by Knight. This matter must be resolved as soon as possible. We must act secretly while Zekrian is still unaware. Crawford Shim quickly made up his mind. Even if it was fake, he had to take down Zekrian first. If it was true, it would be too scary. What was the purpose of a thought body lurking in the council for so long? Crawford Shim quickly opened the council chat group. When he was about to hold a short meeting online to discuss how to solve it, he suddenly remembered that Zikrian was also in the group. So, he created a new group and pulled in the remaining 8 counselors. When he clicked Ursha's name, Crawford Shim's face changed again. This woman joined the council at the same time as Zikrian. Do you want to reply? For safety reasons, he did not pull Ursha in. Speaker, why did you suddenly create a new group? There are 2 people missing. What happened? 7 counselors came online one after another and were puzzled by Crawford Shim's behavior. Seeing that everyone was asking, the old man immediately opened a group voice chat. Crawford Shim, something big has happened, everyone. Crawford Shim, there may be something wrong with Zikrian. He is Jalal's thought body. Crawford Shim, Jalal has completed the construction of the 8th tower of heaven. In an instant, it was quiet. Everyone was shocked by the sudden news. Arcane Resort Hotel. Knight and Urza enjoyed dinner at the hotel together. Seeing that she was a little absent-minded while eating, she glanced at her report letter from time to time. Knight said helplessly, "You have reported it in real name, and it is a serious matter. Unless the Council of Counselors is wiped out in advance, it will definitely be taken seriously." Really? But you haven't replied to me yet. Urza bit her fork. How much do you distrust the Council of Counselors? Knight complained in his heart, and then thought that the Council of Counselors was indeed a makeshift team. Just as he was thinking, the ring flashed. Crawford Shim. Knight, are all the things about Zikrian true? Can you guarantee it? No. Why are you asking me when you don't ask Urza? Knight looked up and said to Urza, "The speaker is asking me." Urza hurried to Knight's side and leaned over to read together. Sigma Man. Regarding the thought body, I guarantee in the name of the Holy Ten that Krine is indeed a thought body. Sigma Man. As for the content reported by Urza, I personally guarantee that it is all true and credible. Crawford Shim. I know. It's terrible. Thanks to you. Knight. Sigma Man. Speaker, you should thank Urza. Crawford Shim. There's one more thing. Ursha and Zikrian both became counselors at the same time. Is this woman a thought body? You actually asked me this question? Can I still betray Miss Witch? Knight thought, Ursha is not a sheep to be sold as her counselor. Zikmaman, Ursha is not a thought body. There was no reply from the other side. About half a minute later, Crawford Shim, I have discussed this with other counselors. Tower of Heaven must be destroyed at all costs. This forbidden magic is too dangerous. Crawford Shim. The council is preparing to unite several major guilds to form a joint expeditionary force to defeat Jalal. Crawford Shim. Regarding the location of Tower of Heaven, do you know the exact address? Knight really doesn't know. He only knows that it is on a small island in a nearby sea area. However, just ask Simon, who is locked in the card. Sigma Man. On a small island near the coast of Karam. Noah Zhao's Crawford Shim. I understand. Thank Urza for me. She helped a lot. The conversation ended. Knight looked at Urza beside him. Are you relieved now? Urza looked a little embarrassed. I'm sorry to bother you again this time, Knight. I didn't expect the council to attach so much importance to it and to form a coalition to attack Jalal Long. Will the coalition come here to join us? No, you still want to join? Knight nodded. Anyway, let's eat first. It's vacation time now. Urza couldn't help but laugh when she saw his expression. Are you a little annoyed with her? Sorry, it's tiring to get along with a woman like her. But it's true, it's vacation time now. Let's talk about the attack on Jalal after the coalition arrives. If he continued, Knight would be angry. So, Urza finally relaxed, returned to the table, and began to enjoy the food in a good mood. Dinner lasted until 10 o'clock, and the two returned to the hotel room. 091 Taboo Magic. Time Worm. Sleeping with Urza. It's nice to have a vacation like this occasionally. The hotel restaurant is also delicious. Is it really okay to eat for free? Urza's appetite is relatively large among girls. What's enviable is that although she can eat a lot, her figure is very outstanding. She looks like a person from the abyss in a purple evening dress. Knight thought that Urza always wields swords and guns, and the calories are consumed here. You are usually too tense, always wearing armor. At this point, Knight suddenly became curious. Speaking of which, do you have private clothes for daily wear? Farce. 189. Urza thought about it seriously. Change clothes. A golden light flashed, and the evening dress disappeared. Urza stood in front of the full-length mirror, swinging her arms, admiring her maid outfit. Night was stunned for a moment, laughing and crying. It's not like that. This kind of clothes belongs to special attack speed clothes, right? What about this one? Urza changed clothes again. This time it was a bunny girl. Black bunny girl costume, a white ball tail behind, slender thighs tightly wrapped in black stockings, a pair of black pointed high heels at the feet, a pair of cute black bunny ears on the head. This kind of costume Night was controlled for 10 seconds on the spot, thinking, do you have any unique insights on daily private clothes that are different from ordinary people? But should I say it or not, it's beautiful and sexy. I really want to hug it. Your private clothes are very beautiful. Night finally gave up. Since Urza thinks this is private clothes, then it is. Hearing the helplessness in the tone, Urza's mouth corners slightly raised and couldn't help laughing. I'm going to take a shower first. Or do you take it first? 230, you go first. Urza changed clothes again, and the sexy bunny girl disappeared. She was wrapped in a white bath towel, and her long crimson hair was also tied up on her head. Her left hand was holding the bathtub at her waist, and some toiletries were placed in it. Your magic of changing clothes can really make anything happen. Do you want to learn? I can teach you. Can I? Of course. Changing clothes is not a difficult magic. Urza answered seriously, and then took the toiletries she had prepared in advance and walked into the bathroom. Soon, the sound of running water came. A man and a woman were alone in the same room. The woman was taking a shower again, and the sound of the shower always made people think about it. Night suddenly realized a problem. Urza's changing room also contained shower gel and shampoo. These things are probably prepared before coming here today. Night noticed that those things were all brand new and unopened. So, in fact, she is also looking forward to the vacation in her heart, right? Night chuckled and walked to the balcony to enjoy the night sea breeze. She should be the kind of girl who will plan the route when she goes out for a trip and then consider all aspects and make preparations in advance. It's a bit cute, Night thought, and took out 4 cards from his pocket. When they were just sealed in, the 4 people were eager to get out. But now they are quiet, sleeping in the cards. Shio's card magic is completely different from Kana's card magic. It involves space, and it just so happens that Night has a high understanding of space magic. He was only locked in once, and he immediately found the trick of this magic through the 6 eyes and learned it in an instant. This is the first time he has learned a magic instantly. When fighting with the ghost before, I read Makarov's Super Magic Fairy Law. But super magic is too complicated and profound, and there is no way to master it instantly. Now, I finally encounter space card magic that he can learn instantly. Night is very happy about this. More, he loves to learn. Wait until the people of the Guild Coalition arrive, and then let them out. Night put the 4 cards back into his pocket. At this time, the system prompt sound suddenly came. Task. The number of registered users of Magic Internet exceeds 30,000. Task completed. Huh, it's already completed? Night muttered in surprise. Gioda is so efficient. He is indeed a self-made, rich first generation, a super businessman. Looked at the system statistics. Total number of internet registrations, 30,001 people. In just 1 second, there was another fresh leak. Not bad. It's right to find Gioda to cooperate. Night nodded with satisfaction, and then receive the reward. Reward, Time Worm. The host is detected in the fairy tale world, and the reward is being converted. Time Worm, parasitic magic Time Worm. Instantly, a vast amount of knowledge about magic flooded into his mind. Night seemed to be swimming in the ocean of knowledge, enjoying the pleasure of being enlightened by the knowledge of magic. After a long time, Night slowly opened his eyes and had completely mastered the magic. It was neither time magic nor summoning magic that summoned insects. It was a kind of parasitic magic. Use magic power to condense a time worm and surround the other party. This kind of parasitism is not simply turning the object into a puppet under his control. Instead, it replaces its existence. It seems that I can't describe it this way. This magic is a bit profound, and it feels more complicated than the laws of fairies. And I was a little surprised. This is the most complicated magic he has seen so far. For example, if the time worm is used to parasitize the current Urza, then this parasitism will exist when Urza is born. This parasitism will happen at the beginning of time. After that, Urza's life is clear to him. It involves a little time ability, and the parasitism is completed at the beginning of time. General means can't defend it at all, and you can't even detect that you are parasitized. Such a terrible magic. It is completely forbidden magic among forbidden magic. At this time, the sound of the bathroom door opening sounded, interrupting his thoughts. Knight turned around and looked. Are you blowing the wind? Be careful of catching a cold. Urza wiped her wet hair, and as if she remembered something, she said, by the way, the hotel shower gel is not very good. I left mine in the bathroom. Let me lend it to you. She sat on the bed, her long white legs folded together, her right hand supporting the bed sheet, her face full of a relaxed expression after bathing. Noticing that Knight was staring at her, Urza asked in confusion, aren't you going to take a shower? I'll go right away. Knight thought to himself, a beauty like you coming out of the bath. Anyone would look at it a few more times. Are you still a man if you don't look? He immediately walked into the bathroom and took off his clothes. After taking a shower, Kinshir came out wearing a pair of large shorts. Then he saw Urza had changed into pajamas and lay in bed. How about I sleep on the sofa? Knight asked tentatively. You'll catch a cold. The bed is big, and it won't be crowded with you. Urza opened her eyes, with only her head sticking out of the quilt. What's wrong? Are you shy? Shy? You're not. I'm afraid I can't control myself. I can't just say, you smell so good, bro. Then she made some moves, and finally Urza kicked her off the bed. Hurry up and go to sleep. Maybe the Allied forces will be here tomorrow. Urza stretched out her hand and blew a little air, then closed her eyes. I'm here, so you can't kick me off the bed. Knight reminded her worriedly, lifted the quilt and lay down, and turned off the magic crystal lamp. The hotel room suddenly fell into darkness, with only the moon in the sky, casting a ray of gentle light from the floor-to-ceiling window on the balcony. I don't know how long it took. Knight's whispers were heard in the room. Urza? He responded with a dazed voice. Obviously, she was very sleepy. I'm a little afraid of the dark. Can I hug you? Yes. Knight immediately changed from lying flat to lying on his side, hugging Urza's waist from behind. His nose was close to Urza's neck, and he smelled the girl's body fragrance mixed with shower gel from her hair. What nice smell. Knight tried his best to restrain himself. Who can sleep like this? Damn it, you shouldn't have followed. Close your eyes and start counting sheep. One sheep, too. Fragrant sheep and big sheep. Huh. Forget it, sleep. In the dark, there was only a slight breathing sound. The next day, Urza woke up first, feeling a little restrained and tight in front. Lifting a corner of the quilt, she found a hand deep into her pajamas. Her face flushed immediately. Even she would be shy sometimes. Quietly and calmly took the hand away, and Urza breathed a sigh of relief. Really? What kind of sleeping habit is this? Muttering to herself, Urza did not disturb Knight, who was sleeping soundly and prepared to get up and wash up. Recalling last night, it was a little funny again. Knight is afraid of the dark when he sleeps. 092, The Witch of the Sky. When he marveled, when Knight woke up, Urza was no longer in the hotel room. He got up, washed up, and went downstairs to the restaurant for dinner. As a result, no guests were seen in the restaurant. Where are all the guests? Knight asked the waiter. Dear 10 Wizard Saints, Mr. Knight, the guests have all checked out. The waiter smiled. Not only that, the resort will serve you and Miss Urza alone all day today. Recognized? Knight was surprised why. He also asked why. The waiter's mouth twitched fiercely. You almost tore down the hotel with one punch last night, and the guests were scared away. It was a decision from above. It is our honor to serve you too. The waiter said something nice. Before today, she didn't know Knight, but now she does. One of the 10 saints in the magic world, this is a big shot. I heard that he got the Order of the 10 Saints just by virtue of a groundbreaking magic. Of course, identity is secondary. The higher-ups are mainly afraid that Knight will really demolish the resort. Anyway, the free accommodation voucher is only valid for one day, So the manager above made a decisive decision to serve these two plague gods well today and reopen the resort after sending them away. Your service is really good. I will come again next time. Knight was very satisfied, thinking about bringing Juvia or Ursha to visit again next time. The waiter's smile froze. Please don't come. By the way, have you seen my companion? You mean Miss Urza? She has already had breakfast and is now in the amusement park. Knight nodded, thanked him, and then took his breakfast to a table and sat down. He opened the magic network and sent a private message to Ursha. Sigma Man, the council is preparing to take action against Ziklian. Did you know? Ursha replied in seconds. Painwitch, sister was about to send you a message, and you sent it to me. Painwitch, we are really in tune with each other. Smile.jpg. Sigma Man, recently, you don't send me pictures at night. I will criticize you. Painwitch, do you miss your sister? Snicker.jpg. Painwitch, sister is wearing this today. Does it look good? Daily private clothes.jpg. Every time I chat with Ursha, the conversation will go off track. After a while, after collecting a few beautiful pictures, I finally got the topic right. Sigma Man, I digressed. I was reminding you that the council is going to take action against Jalal. Talking about what happened last night, Ursha's reaction was obviously that she was unaware. Painwitch, the speaker didn't mention it to me. It seems that I am also suspected. Sigma Man, what are you going to do? Go back to Grimoire Heart. Painwitch, no, don't worry, sister will be fine. Sigma Man, are you still brainwashing Jalal? Painwitch, no. Brainwashing is a matter of childhood. Sister changed her mind and the magic was lifted long ago. Is that so? And I was a little confused. Is Jalal too deeply possessed by the devil now? Who cares? Sigma Man, you are free. Make your own decision. I will help you if you encounter any trouble. Painwitch, yeah, kiss.jpg. Painwitch, sisters are in the council. The speaker just sent a message. It seems that he's going to take action on Jalal's thought body at the council. Then he went offline. Knight pondered. Since the council decided to take action against Zikaline, one of the 10 saints, they would definitely seek external assistance. Maybe they asked for reinforcements overnight. However, with Ursha's strength, even if she was exposed, it would be no problem for her to escape. Since Miss Witch said she could handle it, Knight didn't care about it for the time being. After breakfast, Knight went to the amusement park to meet up with Urza. There was no one in the entire amusement park, and all entertainment facilities were open for free. The two had a great time for the whole morning, and almost all of them were played. After returning to the resort hotel for lunch, the two changed into swimsuits and went to the beach. Skateboarding, beach volleyball, kayaking, sea fishing, etc. It's much more fun than the amusement park. The main thing is that you can appreciate Urza's swimsuit. Urza is also very happy. Her usually tense nerves are completely relaxed, and she has a smile on her face. At about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the two tired people set up beach chairs on the beach. Knight got a barbecue grill and prepared to eat all the sea fish that he had worked hard to catch. As a wizard who often goes out on missions, Urza has rich experience in outdoor camping. She gave Knight a good show. The knife flashed, and the seafood was cleaned by her in a few strokes. The movements were smooth and flowing. Then it was barbecue time. After a full meal, the two walked along the coast to digest the food. I haven't been so happy for a long time. Urza walked in front with her hands behind her back. Obviously, I just came here to investigate Tower of Heaven at the beginning, but I didn't expect to experience a day of vacation. This is a lie. Knight thought, you are obviously looking forward to it. You will be happier in the future. Do you know why people don't like to work? Without waiting for her to answer, Knight continued. Because it is against human nature. After solving the problem of survival, people like to find happiness. But I'm also happy when I work. Urza turned around and laughed lightly. Knight was speechless. At this time, the ring flashed. The speaker sent a private message. Knight glanced and said, "Then your happiness is coming." Urza blinked, and a beautiful question mark appeared on her head. Knight smiled back. "Let's go. The Guild Coalition has arrived and is waiting for us in the hotel lobby." "Really? It seems that it's time to work." Urza nodded. "Change clothes." With a flash of golden light, the swimsuit turned into daily armor. Knight looked down at his beach pants. He really wanted to learn how to change clothes now. After changing clothes, he returned to the hotel lobby. In the lobby, Nashi saw two people, one big and one small, a man and a woman. To be precise, there was actually a white cat. Jura from the Holy Ten. Urza was a little surprised when she saw the other party. Ms. Urza and Mr. Knight, I have always wanted to meet you, and now I finally meet you. Jura is a bald head, first nodded to Urza and greeted her, then smiled and looked at Knight. I'm Jura Nikis, a wizard from Lamia Scale. Nice to meet you. Hello, Mr. Jura. Knight responded and quickly turned his attention to the little girl next to him. My name is Wendy Marvel. The little girl put her hands behind her back, pointed her toes slightly inward, and after introducing herself a little shyly, she glanced at the white cat next to her. She whispered, She is Carla, and we are from the Nika no Yoku. Little girl. Urza was startled. This is the coalition army that is going to attack Jalal. Why would they send a little girl here? There's also a cat, like Happy, flying in the air. The white cat Carla crossed her arms and said angrily, Is it not possible? Wizards of Fairy Tale, please don't look down on me and Wendy. It's Urza, the legendary fairy queen. Wendy whispered, with a little smile on her little face. I'm talking to you. Others look down on us. Carla stamped her feet, feeling very disappointed. I'm sorry, I don't mean to look down on you, but this operation will be very dangerous. Urza apologized earnestly and clenched her fist. If you are angry, just hit me. Knight, Urza, she's a dragon slayer. Knight reminded her, walked up to Wendy, and touched the little girl's head affectionately. Right? Sky Netizen 093, confident Jalal. Ursha, I object. A dragon slayer like Natsu? Urza was a little surprised. Jura was also stunned. He and Wendy did not come together, but met in the hotel lobby. Before meeting Knight and the others, they chatted with each other for a few words. I didn't expect such a little girl to be a dragon slayer. Big brother, do you know Wendy? Wendy looked up curiously. She was 1.5 meters tall, petite, and cute. She looked up at Knight with a puzzled look. I have seen the reply of Voldemort. Fire Dragon Igneal, Iron Dragon Metallicana, Sky Dragon Grandine. One, I saw the magic powers similar to Natsu and Gajeel in you. Knight made up a reason casually. At the same time, he understood in his heart why Wendy was here. From Wendy's reaction, she didn't know Voldemort and hadn't seen that post. 500, therefore, she would participate in this crusade, probably because of the name Jalal. That's right. Wendy has the lost magic, Sky Dragon Slayer magic. She's a dragon slayer. Carla helped Wendy to admit her identity. Her tone was quite proud. That's why I said, don't underestimate us. Wendy lowered her head, a little bit pinched and twisted, rubbing her little feet gently on the ground. Actually, I don't have much fighting power. She doesn't know any cool moves like roaring, or rather, she has never used them. I know some healing magic, which should be able to help you, she said carefully and softly. What a cute little lowly. Knight thought, if Wendy really came here for a lifesaver, she might be disappointed. The Jalal she wanted to see was actually Mystigan from Fairy Tale. We can chat on the way. Anyway, we're going to Tower of Heaven. Knight took out 4 cards and released Simon and the other 2 from the cards. Urza immediately explained the current situation to the 4. The misunderstanding between the 2 sides has been resolved, and the 4 are willing to help and work together to stop Jalal's evil deeds. We came here by boat, so let's go back by boat, Simon suggested. The boat is docked at the nearby coast. Follow me. Under his leadership, everyone left the resort and boarded the sailboat to Tower of Heaven, near the coast of Karlum. It took only more than 2 hours to reach the destination from the Akane resort. Looking at the small island in front from the deck of the ship, a towering tower stands on the island, and there's an external spiral staircase outside the tower that leads directly to the top of the tower. Jura looked solemn. Before I came, I heard about this forbidden magic from the president. The council first contacted the presidents of the local guild alliances, and then the presidents selected the appropriate wizards for the commission. Because one of the thought bodies of the target of the crusade can become the Holy Ten, sending a general business bureau may not be of much use. So, Jura, who is also the Holy Ten, was naturally selected. Mr. Knight, the 2 of us should be able to stop Jalal together. I'm afraid I'm not his opponent alone. Jura turned to look at Knight. Do you have any battle plan? Battle plan? Knight was chatting privately with Ursha, asking about the situation, and he had to shake his head when he heard it. What plan did he have? If Urza hadn't asked him for help, he wouldn't have bothered to care about Jalal's weight. Zirif is alive and well, and Jalal's dream of resurrecting Zirif is doomed to fail. The plan is to fight on the top floor of the Tower of Heaven and then arrest the other party. This is equivalent to having no plan. Jura laughed dryly. Forget it. Let's take it one step at a time. I don't know who the enemy is besides Jalal. At this time, Urza, who was standing on the bow, said loudly, "It seems that someone is waiting for us on the island." Everyone looked over and saw that a large number of wizards had gathered on the coast of the island and were waiting. Exposed, Jura frowned. Simon hurriedly said, "It's not us." In this case, the four of them would be suspected at the first time. But in fact, no one suspected them. Get ready for battle. Urza protected Wendy behind him and whispered, "Wendy, you hide behind later." Wendy nodded hurriedly. "I will release support magic for everyone." Knight turned off the magic net, walked to Urza, and looked at the situation on the island. "Let me do it. You should save some magic power to deal with the next opponent." As he said, he clenched his right fist and bombarded the atmosphere on the right side of his body. Boom! In an instant, a tsunami came. A huge wave of 100 meters high rose from the sea and rushed towards the island in the sea. Seeing this scene, many wizards who had gathered on the shore began to flee in panic. However, the tsunami directly submerged the entire island, and they had nowhere to escape. With one punch, all the small fish were killed. Jura was shocked. As a Saint 10, his moves were far less destructive than Nashi. The white cat Carla opened her mouth in disbelief. "Good, great magic." Turning his head and staring at Knight, Kinshur smiled back. "The people in this world are quite magical. It's not strange to see a cat that can talk and fly." Tower of Heaven, top floor. Jalal crossed his legs and leaned against a high-back chair, holding his cheek with a fist in his left hand and holding a chess piece in his right hand. Feeling the slight vibration caused by the impact of the tsunami on the Tower of Heaven, he couldn't help but laugh. "Don't be too messy. If you tear down my Tower of Heaven, I will have a headache, Nashi." Snap! The chess piece fell. Across the chessboard, Zikrian was also sitting on a chair. As a thought body, he looks exactly like Jalal, without any difference. This is a high-level thought body with the ability to act independently and can play chess with the main body. I didn't expect Urza to report me. The thought body was seen through. This is Nashi's credit. It doesn't matter. It's just a small episode. Jalal talked to his thought body, still full of room. The resurrection sacrifice needs a magician at the level of Saint 10. The Urza chosen at first was just close to Saint 10, but now there's a better target. Juranikis, 3.7 Zikrian picked up the chess piece and raised his mouth slightly. In addition, 2.7 billion conceptual magic power is needed to activate the Ars system. Ursha will find a way. Jalal ate the enemy general and looked calm. Zirif will be reborn soon. At the same time as Knight and others landed on the island. The scene here was also broadcast to the council headquarters by satellite magic in the sky, including the speaker Crawford Shim. The other 8 counselors gathered in front of a huge crystal ball. If Jura and the others fail, the second counselor, an old man with a bat decoration on his head and his right eye closed, suggested, "Just use the magic spirit power to completely wipe the 8th tower off the map." Ursha raised her hand and said with a smile, "I object." 094 instantly killing 3 crows' magical spirit power, also known as super space-time destruction magic. This is one of the ultimate weapons used by the Magic Council to maintain the order of the magic world. Using the satellite magic array, the huge energy bomb that integrates 2.7 billion conceptual magic power can be accurately launched to any corner of the continent. Its power is enough to destroy a country. Therefore, it must be voted by the council, and at least 5 people must agree before it can be used. As soon as Ogre, who was in the second seat, proposed to use the magic spirit power, Ursha raised her hand to express her opposition. This made Ogre's expression a little stiff. It's too bad. Ursha, he frowned and said, don't forget, you haven't cleared your suspicion yet. There is no accurate judgment on whether you are Jalal's accomplice. Stinky old man, what do you know? Ursha was speechless. Jalal was eager for you to use the magic spirit power, which would just charge the Tower of Heaven and completely activate the Earth system. She didn't care whether the Tower of Heaven was activated. But what if she accidentally hurt her beloved knight? Don't worry, Mr. Ogre. There is still plenty of time now. Why not wait and see? Ursha smiled sweetly. She believed that Knight would solve it. If it really can't be solved, the council must use the magic spirit power. She would not be a counselor, and she would also demolish the council on the spot. Then go find Knight. Thinking of living with Knight, Ursha actually looked forward to things developing in this direction. At this time, Yajima, the sixth seat, said, I object too. Things haven't come to this point yet. Mr. Yajima, even you. Ogre frowned even more deeply. Mikolo, who was in the third seat, murmured, I agree, but we have to wait until they fail. Then, the other counselors voted, it's about the resurrection of the black wizard Zerif. No matter what, I agree. The two saints and Urza of Fairy Tale can win. So I pose. In the end, the vote was 4:4. So, everyone looked at the speaker. The fat old man looked at the picture in the crystal ball and said calmly, even if Knight and the others fail, at least we have to rescue Knight safely and then consider whether to use him. 5:4, the vote failed. The tsunami receded and the ship docked. Knight and others stepped onto the island in the sea and looked up at the Tower of Heaven. It's quite high, at least 200 or 300 meters. I feel a strong magic power just in the direction of the top of the tower. That's probably Jalal. Jura took the lead and walked in front. You follow me. Don't be afraid if there are any traps. Reliable. Knight smiled slightly, a reliable bald guy. He reached out and hugged Urza's waist and flew up lightly. But we can fly. Mr. Jura, Urza and I'll go up first. You can walk up slowly. Jura, that's not right. Even if you can fly, shouldn't you take me with you? The two of us, the Holy Ten, joined forces to fight Jalal together. This is the right thing to do. Jura opened his mouth, but couldn't say it. He and Knight are not very familiar with each other. After completing this mission, I must add Nashi as a friend. He added before, but the friend request was ignored. I understand, Mr. Knight. You too must be careful. Jura nodded, watching the two fly to the Tower of Heaven, then turned back to Wendy and said, Wendy, Carla, you follow me? The words are not finished yet. Carla has transformed into wings, and her two little claws are holding Wendy's collar. Rin takes Tianchen with him. Mr. Jura, I'll help too. Wendy stretched out her hands and cast a supportive magic on Jura. Armor power. A soft blue light enveloped Jura's body, and he felt that his defense had been enhanced. It was rare to find a wizard who could assist in magic, and Jura was very happy to be supported by magic. But seeing Carla and Winnie fly away, Jura was very sad. His eyes fell on the Tower of Heaven. It's so high. Am I the only one climbing up? Jura felt that he was excluded by his companions and secretly made up his mind to learn a kind of flying magic when he returned. Clearing away distracting thoughts, Jura took a deep breath and started to walk up from the bottom of the tower. The spiral staircase outside the tower went up around the tower body, but after walking a circle, a figure blocked the way. Oh, hello, Mr. Jura of the Holy Ten. The man wore a bird head mask and carried 2 flame thrusters on his back. I'm a member of the Assassination Guild Skull and Bones, a special guerrilla force of the 3 Crows. Warrior of Justice, Owl. As soon as the words fell, Owl activated the thrusters behind him, and with the help of the flames, he approached Jura fiercely, clasped the bald man's neck with his right arm, and took him to the sky in an instant. By the order of Lord Jalal, you are brought to him as a sacrifice. Oh, sacrifice? Jura did not resist. It is better to say that he helped a lot. He can fly up too. On the other side, Knight, holding Urza, has flown to the entrance of the top of the tower, walked into the tower from the end of the stairs, and soon came to a bridge. Above the long bridge, cherry blossoms were flying. At the end of the bridge, in the darkness, a cherry-haired woman wearing a white kimono, holding a long sword in both hands and wearing high wooden clogs on her feet, walked towards her step by step with the steps of an oiran. "Good evening, both of you. I am Banjiu, please advise me." The woman was quite polite and knew how to introduce herself. But the next sentence was not so friendly. "Miss Urza, Lord Jalal no longer needs you. Are you dissatisfied with this wooden bridge as your burial place?" Urza frowned slightly and whispered, "Knight, leave this woman to me. You go and stop Jalal first." As she said that, she changed her clothes. Silver white battle angel, sky wheel armor. Knight pondered, "Your name is Turtle Dove?" "Yes, respected lord of the magic net. Your magic net forum really helped us a lot." Banjiu's tone towards Knight was very friendly. "It was very inconvenient for us assassination guilds to accept commissions before, but now it's very easy for clients to find us. Thank you for your great invention. Are there still assassination guild members lurking in the forum?" Knight raised his eyebrows, wondering where these people got the rings from. He noticed that Banjiu's right index finger was indeed wearing a first-generation magic net ring. "Anyway, can you ask him to stop scattering cherry blossoms?" Knight looked up at the sky above the wooden bridge. About 30 meters above, there was a man sitting on a dark pipe. The man was holding a flower basket in his hand and grabbed a handful of cherry blossoms and scattered them from a high place. As he spoke, Kinshur took out a card from his pocket with his right index and middle fingers. With a whoosh, the card flew towards the man at a high speed like a flying knife. "As expected of Saint Ten, you found me easily." Faced with the flying card, the man stretched out his hand and caught it like lightning. "No, buddy, there are cherry blossoms floating on the bridge, and there are no cherry trees here. Anyone can know that there is someone here. It has nothing to do with whether he is Saint Ten or not. It has something to do with the eyes and the brain." Knight was speechless and immediately had an idea. On the card held by the man, a golden magic circle suddenly unfolded. The next moment, it teleported. "Teleport?" Vidaludas's expression was stunned, and his pupils shrank suddenly. In the field of vision, a big hand opened 5 fingers and grabbed his face. Immediately, a terrifying vibration invaded the brain, and the brain matter was instantly evened out. Strong hands split the skull. Knight threw the man to the ground fiercely, and with a bang, one of the members of the 3 Crows was instantly killed. "Sorry, you look strong, but I personally hate cherry blossoms." 095 Magic App. Download and play. Knight's wonderful idea. Knight doesn't like cherry blossoms, mainly because he is allergic to them. In addition to cherry blossoms, he is also allergic to several kinds of flowers and plants. At this time, one of the members of the 3 Crows was killed in one move, and Knight simply kicked all the flower baskets on the pipe down with 1 foot. In order to create an atmosphere when they appeared, these people really prepared several baskets of cherry blossoms. It feels good to sprinkle them now, but I wonder if they are tired when collecting them. Turtle Dove looked up at the cherry blossoms flying in the sky, and then looked down at his companion Vidarudas, who had completely lost consciousness. Death is the fate of love and life. What is this woman talking about? Knight sat on the pipe with his feet hanging in the air, waiting to watch the show leisurely. Turtle Dove has 2 beauty moles under his eyes. At this time, his feet are slightly apart, and his right hand has already grasped the handle of the knife. The posture of drawing the sword and slashing. "Mr. Knight, you can pass, but Miss Urza has to stay." "Knight, go ahead. I will catch up soon." Urza also shouted. There are 4 steel wings behind the sky wheel armor. Although it will not move, it actually has the magic of flying attached. Urza flew almost close to the ground, and with one swing of her sword, several magic swords followed her to kill Banjiu. Banjiu stood still and drew her sword to slash as fast as a flash of light. Moonless-style sword flash. Urza, who was rushing forward, suddenly paused. The next moment, all the magic swords swirling around her body shattered at the same time. As if it was a delayed slash, the heavenly wheel armor also shattered immediately afterwards. With one sword, Urza's commonly used combat armor was shattered. My moonless style can directly cut the opponent's nerves without hurting the flesh. Banjiu's sword had been sheathed, as if it had never been used before. The Fairy Queen is just like this. With a plop, Urza knelt on one knee, her eyes covered with a shadow. TSK, TSK, angry. Urza is angry. It was the first time that Knight saw Urza's expression like this. After thinking for a while, he quickly said, "Do you want my help? It's very expensive to repair the broken armor." Urza regained her balance and was about to change clothes. Moonless-style Garuda Flame. Ikaruga attacked again. This time, his sword skills were not fast, but his magic power was transformed into flames. Like a roaring fire snake, a series of explosions occurred wherever it passed. Boom! In an instant, the wooden bridge was ignited and the flames shot up into the sky. Urza was forced back dozens of meters by the impact of sword energy and flames. Ikaruga noticed that Urza had changed clothes in an instant and was amazed at the speed of the other party's change of clothes. At the same time, he said, "Fire-resistant armor, right?" But, bang, the Flame Emperor's armor shattered. "My sword skills are not that simple, Miss Urza. This is another broken one." Knight thought, how much will it cost to repair it? Urza is really a rich woman. However, the 6 eyes observe the two. The magic power in the body of the pigeon is about 3 stars, weaker than Urza. This female wizard who uses swords has a full combat experience in swordsmanship. "Really don't need help?" Knight spoke again. "Change clothes, purgatory armor." A golden light flashed, and Urza changed clothes again. This time, it was a pitch-black armor with spikes. Holding a serrated giant blade, the destructive power doubled. "Is this your strongest armor?" Pigeon closed his left eye, took a stance, and still drew his sword to slash. "Wait and regret it. No one can stand up straight in front of my armor." Urza rarely said harsh words, and did not forget to look up and shout at Knight. "Stop talking nonsense, Knight. It will distract me." As soon as she finished speaking, she rushed towards Kakujiyu again. This purgatory armor withstood Kakujiyu's first sword, and the scene finally became intense. Urza's sawtooth giant blade was powerful, but facing Kakujiyu with full agility points, it was difficult to touch the opponent. The only difference was that she finally forced Kakujiyu to leave the spot and had to dodge. However, the armor with strong attack power would appear a bit cumbersome when it could not hit the enemy. Banjiu dodged the powerful blow again, and a big hole was smashed into the long bridge. She leaped up and passed over Urza's head upside down, with a sword in her hand. Moonless-style yiksha, flashing sky. Snap! The wooden clogs landed on the bridge with a light sound. The sound of the blade slowly returning to the sheath followed, and Banjiu said without looking back, "It seems that the winner has been decided. Now you should understand that your armor can't stop my moonless style." With a bang, Chunyu's armor broke. Seeing this, Knight stretched out his right index finger and middle finger, pinched the void, and a card condensed with golden light. "I am not strong at all." Urza staggered a step and whispered, "Change to the pure heart clothes." With a flash of golden light, she took out another set of armor. To be precise, it was not armor. The lower body was a pair of yellow flame pattern bloomers, and the upper body was only wrapped in bandages like a pair of giant pandas. There was no steel wrapped around a whole body, only soft cloth. When I was a child in this tower, I lost many companions. When Grandpa Rob died in front of me, I was young and helpless. Even when I was escaping, I could only leave alone. Knight raised his eyebrows and thought, this set of clothes is really beautiful. This is Urza's strongest armor, abandoning defense and facing the weak self in his heart. Turtle Dove frowned slightly. What's special about this set of armor? It's just cloth. Urza slowly closed her eyes, still whispering, I always cry alone, and I'm used to being alone. 11. In order to become stronger, I put on heavy armor. I shut myself up in a lonely world, facing the outside world cautiously, fearing any harm. Speaking of this, she suddenly smiled brightly and faced Ban Ming calmly. Sorry, Knight. I just told you to stop talking nonsense. You must be very anxious and want to help me. I'm sorry. It's because I'm too weak and I never dare to take off my armor. Only by wearing armor can I find peace of mind. As he said, he transformed 2 long swords with his hands and pointed them at Banjiu. I won't lose. Even if I lose, Night will definitely help me at the most important moment. I'm no longer confused. Armor can't protect me, but my companions can. With a bang, Urza left a footprint on the bridge barefoot, and the whole person was like a scarlet light galloping on the battlefield. It's just a piece of cloth. What are you talking about? Banjiu couldn't help but narrow his eyes, and also moved his feet, and went to meet Urza on the high pipe. Knight put away the cards and quietly watched the battle below. A pure swordsmanship contest, the end was at hand. The scarlet light penetrated the long bridge like lightning and stopped at the end of the bridge. Behind him, the long sword of the dove cracked inch by inch and fell to the ground with a bang. Congratulations, you won. Knight jumped lightly and landed beside Urza. It seems that the king is unhappy. Urza smiled at Knight, and then her body softened and fell into his arms. The nerves were cut. Knight had to pick her up in a princess hug and walk towards the top of the tower while saying, "Wendy can use healing magic, you bear it." "Thank you, Knight." Urza put her arms around Knight's neck, rested her head on his shoulder, and closed her eyes tiredly. Even without the armor, she wouldn't feel uneasy now. Knight thought for a moment and said, "I'll teach you later." "County, what can be helpful to Urza?" Most of his magic is system-based, and others can't learn it even if he teaches it. If magic can be downloaded directly through the magic network, like an app, it would be great to learn it in one click. This idea seems good. Knight's eyes lit up. It seems it's not impossible. In addition to being happy, Knight couldn't help but kiss Urza's cheek. "You helped me a lot." Urza suddenly opened her beautiful eyes wide, touched the place where she was kissed, and looked confused. 096 Knight's second super magic, Fairy Law, is activated. The current magic network has functions such as photographing and talking. Even if the user does not know these magics, it does not affect their use. And a magic app is a step further on this basis. However, it is easy to say, but it seems to be quite troublesome to do. I need to study it carefully in the future. "You kiss me." Urza touched the cheek that was kissed. It was the first time for her to be kissed on the face, and it felt a little strange. "Do you want to kiss me back?" "I don't mind." Urza opened her eyes wide, and her face flushed. Even the fairy queen has shy moments. Moreover, she always felt that Knight was a little different to her. Could he like her? Then she thought of Knight touching her panda when she went to bed last night. She said that she was afraid of the dark and had to hold her to sleep. But when she woke up the next day, she found that Min had entered her pajamas. I don't know if it was intentional. Urza blushed more and more as she thought about it. Wait a minute. Impure things are not allowed." "What are you talking about?" Knight really didn't know that he touched her. This was purely a habit when sleeping, and his hand moved by itself. "Anyway, now is not the time to talk about this. Stop, Jalal." Urza shook her head vigorously and quickly changed the subject, and she almost bit her tongue. "We're on our way now, but..." Knight looked down at Urza's chest binder. "Are you really not going to change?" Urza felt that she was a little strange now, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Yesterday, she slept in the same bed with Knight, and 247 didn't think there was anything wrong. But now, just being seen with a bandage on her chest binder, she felt that the blood began to rush to her face. Red. Her face was about to turn red again. "Change clothes." She quickly changed into the most commonly used armor, closed her eyes, and said quickly, "Let's go." Knight felt that the armor was a bit heavy. "Urza, maybe you can walk by yourself?" "Don't talk, let's go." When Knight and Urza came to the room on the top floor, Wendy, Carla, and Jura had already arrived in advance. The last member of the Three Crows, Owl, was trapped inside by two rocks and couldn't move. And next to the rock was Jura. He put his index finger and middle finger together, maintaining earth magic. "Are you Jalal?" "Jura of Rock Iron. It's true that you're not wrongly called. Your earth magic is very powerful. You subdued the owl with one move, which is amazing. You deserve the title of Saint 10. Jalal stood up and clapped his hands. He looked past Jura and looked at the entrance of the gate. Seeing Knight holding Urza, he raised his mouth slightly. It seems that the other two of the Three Crows have also been dealt with. You have temporarily won this paradise game. Jalal, seeing her old friend from childhood, Urza gritted her teeth angrily. Is it really so fun to play with human lives? Of course, because life and death are the root of all things that gather all emotions. On the other hand, there is nothing more boring and empty than life. Jalal wore a blue cloak and spoke his own life experience. At this time, Zekrian also stood up and walked to Jalal. I didn't expect you to report me. Urza, I almost failed my plan. Zekrian. Urza stared at this thought body. I won't be fooled again. You are the same person. Hee hee. We are indeed the same person. When I first saw you in the council, I was really shocked. I had to say that you were twin brothers. As he spoke, Tukrain slowly merged into Jalal's body. In an instant, a huge magical pressure descended. In Knight's eyes, Jalal's magic power at this time reached more than 7 stars, which was a little stronger than Jose, but a little weaker than Makarov. Wendy. Knight walked to Wendy and put Urza down. Help me treat Urza, please. Yes, Wendy helped Urza sit down and was shocked when she felt the other's injuries. Well, Wendy whispered, what will happen to Jalal? He will be arrested. Knight answered casually while putting his palms together. I don't like nonsense. Anyway, let's solve it quickly. As he spoke, a golden light appeared between his palms, and the magic of the light condensed into a small ball of light. Seeing this scene, Urza, who was sitting on the ground receiving treatment, opened her beautiful eyes in disbelief. Fairy law. Jalal's face changed drastically. He had seen Makarov use the famous fairy law. Not only that, not long ago, the president of the Phantom, Jose Porla, was killed by this trick. I've only learned a little bit. Don't be nervous. Maybe I will fail. Knight said slowly, Mr. Jura, Bebj, can you buy me some time? Jura was also very shocked. This feeling of magic, super magic. I understand. I will protect you in front until your magic is completed. Jura nodded and immediately took a fighting stance. You think I will give you a chance? Knight. Jalal snorted coldly. Meteor. Celestial magic. Meteor. Jalal's body was shrouded in a hazy golden light, and his body movements became light, and he suddenly rushed towards Knight, like a meteor. Multiple pillars rain. Jura waved his fingers, and 10 stone pillars suddenly rose from the ground and hit Jalal. But Jalal's flying movements in the air were extremely agile, like a winding golden light, passing through the gaps between the stone pillars in an instant. He came to Knight's head, and his right hand quickly drew a magic circle in the air. Da! Before he could finish drawing, Honla's 2 fingers raised up. Rock iron wall. A stone wall rose from the ground, blocking Jalal. Jalal's 7-star sword was blocked, and Jura kicked the stone wall to pieces. Stone array. Jura stood still, waved his fingers, and controlled the broken stone wall, and countless broken stones immediately hit Jalal. Of course, it didn't hit hard. In the meteor state, Jalal's movements were extremely fast, and ordinary magic couldn't keep up with his movements. However, facing Jura's harassment, he couldn't interrupt Knight's spell for a while. So, the two of them went back and forth, and the magic kept fighting. Carla widened her eyes and murmured in surprise. Is this the battle between the 10 holy magicians? It's completely different from ordinary magicians. The most intuitive feeling is that it's very fast. The magics are fighting quickly as if they don't need magic power. You go back and forth, and you counter each other's moves. This process lasted for about 10 seconds. That's enough. Knight finished reading the fairy law. Because he was not familiar with it, and it was his first time using it in actual combat, he needed much longer to prepare than Makarov. It was not even certain whether it would succeed. I'm counting down to 3 seconds, Jalal. It's still time to surrender now. Knight's face was calm, damn it. Jalal's face was grim. Why do you want to stop it? Knight. With a snap, Knight put his hands together. Fairy law. Activate. Instantly, golden light filled everyone's world. A huge golden magic circle was born in the sky above the Tower of Heaven. Jalal wanted to curse, but it was too late. The divine judgment came. From the center of the huge magic circle in the sky, dazzling golden light descended, covering the entire Tower of Heaven. This scene was also broadcast to the council headquarters in real time by satellite magic. In the huge crystal ball, golden light filled the monitoring field of view. Fairy law. Who activated it? Urza? No, Knight. How is this possible? Besides Makarov, is there anyone else in Fairy Tale who can master this kind of super magic? Beside the crystal ball, the judges were all shocked. The fat old speaker was also shocked. Everyone stared at the crystal ball without blinking, anxiously waiting for the result. 097 Jalal is defeated. The first target of the time worm, 4/4, please vote. The holy light defeats the darkness. The law of the fairies shines brightly. On the coast of the island, on the sailing ship docked, Simon and others were dazzled by the dazzling golden light. Are Sister Urza and the others okay? This brilliance, this magic, could it be super magic? It's the magic of that night. They were not used as combat power and were asked to stay on the ship. At this time, they could only watch from afar as the Tower of Heaven was shrouded in holy light. Now we can only wait, Simon said in a deep voice. After a long time, the holy light began to fade. The top floor room of the Tower of Heaven. Everyone looked at Jalal at the first time. Jalal panted heavily. He blocked his hands in front of him, and his original blue hair had completely turned white. Even the clothes on his body seemed to be bleached and faded. It seems to have failed. Knight spread his hands. The power is not half as powerful as the president's. It also consumed 3 stars of magic power, but did not reach perfection in experience and technology, so the power was discounted. It's already successful enough, Mr. Knight, Jura said in a deep voice. Jalal's breath fell, and he consumed a lot of magic power to fight against your magic. Wendy and Urza both stared blankly. Suddenly, the white-haired Jalal shrugged his shoulders and laughed wantonly. You almost won. Boom. He burst out with magic power and was enveloped by a hazy golden light and flew into the air in an instant. You all come to hinder me. You all deserve to die. Jalal raised his hands angrily and crossed them above his head. Fall into the infinite dark abyss, celestial magic, dark paradise. The wind swept, and the evil magic gathered above Jalal's head, and a dark magic, celestial body gradually took shape. It seemed like a black hole. The shadows under the feet of the crowd were pulled by the black hole and torn toward Jalal. Be careful, Knight. That magic is very dangerous. Urza warned loudly. If I were you, I would run away immediately. Knight kindly reminded, don't you think that if you delay for a while, the magic spirit power will drop? Jalal looked grim. Jura frowned. Magic spirit power? The completion of the Earth system requires a huge amount of magic power, and the structure of this tower itself is to absorb magic power. Knight shook his head and said, it won't fall down. Your wish is doomed to fail. Jura's heart moved and immediately thought of the importance of Zekrian sneaking into the council. So that's why it is necessary to separate the thought body. Damn, Urza, this is all your fault. Jalal looked at Urza, who was healing with angry eyes. Since Knight knows the secret of the Earth system, it means that the council may also know it. He can't wait for the magic spirit power. Even if he beats Nahe and Jura here, the Earth system cannot be completed. What's more, he doesn't have the confidence to beat the two now. In order to fight against the laws of the fairies, he has consumed too much time. I shouldn't have let you go back then. You really hindered me. Jalal's black hole has been completed, and it was thrown out from a high place. The target is not Jura or Knight, but Urza. Rockwall chain. The reliable bald man Jura put his hands together, and in an instant, 5 stone walls as hard as steel rose from the ground. The black hole hit the stone wall, and the strong gravity broke through and tore the stone wall. In a blink of an eye, all 5 stone walls were broken. At this time, Knight was already standing in front of Urza, blocking the attacking black hole with his right palm. Boom! The 2 magic powers collided, and in an instant the ground shook. Tower of Heaven, which was built with great difficulty, now wants to tear it down by yourself. Knight couldn't help laughing, but at the same time he was a little confused. Ursha had long been brainwashed. Why was Jalal still so persistent? For a free world, for Zerif, for creating a truly free country. Jalal was like a madman, gritting his teeth and yelling. It's just another 8 years, no, it only takes 5 years this time. His fingers drew a magic circle in the air, and it was completed in almost an instant. Forbidden magic, purgatory shattering. Urza Knight Jura, sink to the bottom of the sea with this tower of heaven. Seeing this magic, Jura's face changed drastically. Purgatory shattering, a magic that combines the four attributes of earth, water, fire, and wind, is enough to completely destroy them and the entire Tower of Heaven from the fluctuation of magic power. Because of its destructive power, it is listed as a forbidden magic. Overlord Rock Shattering. Jura gritted his teeth, clapped his hands, and used all his magic power. The Tower of Heaven suddenly stretched out two huge rock hands, like an angry Vajra Buddha, and slapped Jalal fiercely. With a bang. Before Purgatory Shattering could be launched, Jalal was suppressed by the two giant hands. Immediately afterwards, the rock that blocked him was detonated, and a loud explosion was heard, shaking the tower. Jalal fell from a height and fell outside the Tower of Heaven. This scene was also broadcast by satellite magic. The counselors at the council headquarters breathed a sigh of relief. Ursha shook her head slightly, thinking it was indeed a failure. Poor Jalal. Speaker Crawford Shim immediately opened the magic network and sent a message. Crawford Shim, Jalal has been defeated, landed on the island to attack the gods. At the same time, near the coast of Karam, several council magic warships immediately took action and approached the Tower of Heaven, the top floor of the Tower of Heaven. The black hole slowly collapsed and disappeared. Knight retracted his right hand and turned to look at Urza. How is the injury? I can move now. Thank you. You saved me again. Urza nodded, and then thanked the absent-minded Wendy, then stood up and walked to the edge of the broken wall and looked outside the tower. Jalal fell from the top of the tower. It would take some time to fall from a height of 200 or 300 meters. Jura breathed a sigh of relief and followed him to the side of the tower. If it was a one-on-one fight, I would not be his opponent. Thanks to your fairy law, Mr. Knight. You are also amazing. Knight thought and turned into a beam of golden light, suddenly flying towards Jalal. He stood on the ground before Jalal. Then a magic was cast to buffer the speed of his fall. With a bang, Jalal fell on his back, raising a cloud of dust. Knight stood beside him, looking down at him. You are also amazing to be able to withstand my fairy law. Although I deliberately reduced the power, Knight stretched out a finger. A white time worm crawled out from the tip of his finger and fell on Jalal's face. I'll use you to test my time worm. 098 Fairy Queen's first kiss more than an hour later. The unconscious Jalal was taken away by the council's compulsory restraint force. The Rune Knights landed on the island in a warship and detained all the criminals on the island. At the same time, a part of the army was left to dismantle the 8th Tower of Heaven. When he stood on the coast and watched the detention force leave, Carla asked, "Is it the Jalal you are looking for?" "No, different, I don't know." When he shook her head in disappointment. The Jalal she was looking for was a good man and her benefactor. The Jalal she saw today looked exactly the same and had the same name, but he was completely different from the Jalal she remembered when he didn't understand what was going on. One was a good man, and the other was an evil villain. Not only that, this Jalal didn't seem to know her. At this time, when he noticed Knight not far away, and suddenly remembered the conversation in the hotel lobby when they first met. Grantine, 097, she ran over in small steps. Knight was studying the time worm, and after the first time worm parasitized Jalal, there was no special feedback. Maybe there will be results after Jalal wakes up. Wendy's voice came from behind, and Knight turned around to look. The blue-haired girl was running towards him in small steps, and suddenly she was tripped by a stone on the coast. Wendy screamed, raised her hands forward, and fell to the ground. Knight's mouth twitched this flat fall. "It hurts." Wendy rubbed her slightly red forehead and stood up firmly. "Stupid, don't run around recklessly." Carla flew over and said unhappily, "I'm sorry." When he apologized in a low voice, Knight walked over with a smile and helped the little girl up. "Are you looking for me for something?" "Thank you, Mr. Knight." Wendy still looked a little reserved and looked like a very shy person. "Well, when we were in the hotel, I heard you say Grandine." "Don't be so polite, just call me by my name." Knight thought, you dragon slayers will definitely ask this. Grantine is in your body, Haven't you read the reply from Magic Web Hill, Voldemort? Inside? Wendy stared at Knight blankly, not understanding what he meant for a moment. She knew about the magic web, and the president of the Demon Cat gave her a ring not long ago. Very interesting magic. Wendy often lurks in the forum, but never dares to speak. She doesn't know Voldemort. That post was a long time ago and has long been buried. Knight had to explain it again and also talked about Natsu. You know Natsu, the fire dragon of her guild? He is also a child adopted by a dragon, the fire dragon unle. I have seen him in his body. After a pause, he simply helped people to the end and sent Buddha to the west. Do you want to see Grandine? Can I? Wendy's eyes lit up, and she looked at Knight with expectant eyes. Hold my hand, close your eyes, and relax your mind. Knight smiled and stretched out his hand. When I helped Natsu before, I was not familiar with the use of the 6 eyes, but now I should be able to do it. Wendy put her little hand on Knight's fingertips without hesitation, and then closed her eyes obediently. Is that so, Mr. Knight? Yes, relax. The 6 eyes captured the special magic in Wendy's body. Knight's eyes were slightly fixed, and suddenly, he disturbed Wendy's magic. You can open your eyes. After hearing the voice in her ears, Wendy slowly opened her eyes. She was surprised to find that she was no longer in the island where the Tower of Heaven was located. There was no endless ocean in front of her. Instead, there was a large grassland with a breeze and fresh air. It seems to be successful. Knight smiled and walked forward. On a high slope in front of the grassland, there was a white dragon lying. It looked like a large reptile covered with feathers. Grantine, is it Grantine? Wendy ran to the dragon excitedly. The dragon Grantine opened his eyes. His eyes were a little complicated. Wendy. Then he looked at Knight. Knight took the initiative to greet him. Nice to meet you, Grantine. I heard your name from unle, young wizard. Grantine's voice was female, obviously a female dragon, and her voice was also very gentle. It's amazing that there is no genius wizard king like you in this era. She was somewhat appreciative. At the same time, she also blamed him a little. It was amazing to be able to bring Wendy's spirit to her. But Grantine didn't want to see Wendy at this time. This child would definitely ask why she abandoned herself. It would be troublesome to explain. It was not the right time to explain. Knight shook his head and said, I won't disturb you in your daughter's reminiscence. Goodbye. As soon as he thought about it, his body disappeared like ripples on the water. His consciousness returned to reality. Knight said to the nervous Carla beside him, Don't worry, she will wake up soon. Then he stood up and left. Speaking of which, these dragons stay in the Dragon Slayer's body to suppress dragonization. They are making antibodies to prevent the Dragon Slayer from turning into a dragon. Just thinking about it, Ayusha came over. It's over, Knight. We should go back. Seeing her alone, Knight asked, Don't you say goodbye to those friends? I've said goodbye. They were taken away by the council as witnesses for the trial of Jalal. They will be free after the trial is over. Urza smiled. This time, she finally made a break with the past. Her smile was like a ray of sunshine under the frost, short and dazzling. She took the initiative to approach Knight, put her face on Knight's chest, and whispered, Thank you, Knight. You said it many times. Although he didn't know what had happened to her mentally, Knight hugged her without hesitation. How about some sincerity? Can I kiss you? Urza raised her head. Her eyes were a little dull, and her cheeks were slightly red. Why did you suddenly ask for this? Can I agree? Urza was a little confused, but then she thought about it. She had been kissed once before, and it would be okay to kiss her again, right? Knight really likes her. Juvia thought she was a love rival before, but she was right. Aye. Urza simply closed her eyes and didn't answer whether it was okay or not. Seeing her expression of facing death with no fear of home, for point 5, Knight immediately felt that the queen also had a lovely side. If she doesn't kiss, is she still a human being? He leaned over and kissed her decisively. Urza suddenly opened her eyes wide. Isn't it her face? But soon, her eyes softened, and she closed her eyes again, experiencing the first kiss between a man and a woman in her life. Not far away, Wendy finished talking with Grandine, and after her spirit returned to reality, she happily wanted to Knight thanked her. Don't go, idiot. Carla quickly pulled her back and whispered, They are. Wendy then realized that Knight and Urza were hugging each other and immediately covered her eyes in shame. But she couldn't help but be curious and secretly open her fingers. Carla, why are Mr. Knight and Miss Urza hugging each other and kissing? How do I know? As a female cat, Carla was also blushing at this moment. 099, send Juvia a gift and invite Wendy to be a guest in the guild. The Tower of Heaven matter has been understood, and the rest is the work of the council. Knight and Urza are preparing to return to Magnolia. Before leaving, Jura found Knight. Mr. Knight, let's add a friend on the magic network. I hope to discuss magic with you in the future. Okay. Knight did not refuse, opened the magic network, and added the other party as a friend. Jura's magic network nickname is Juranikis, another warrior who uses his real name to go online. Do you want me to help you with personal authentication? After adding the friend, Knight asked casually. It means adding a red V after the name, which means it is Juranikis himself, and the identity is confirmed by the magic network official. Then I'll trouble you. Jura had no objection and smiled and thanked him. Next, I will escort Jalal to the council together. If there is a chance in the future, you are welcome to visit Lamia Scale. Escort Jalal? Knight thought that this might be to prevent the situation like Aragorn from happening again, where he was kidnapped halfway. I will definitely visit you if I have the chance. Knight nodded and suddenly thought of someone. By the way, Mr. Jura, is there a wizard named Leon in your guild? Leon and his friends? Jura nodded and said, the newcomers who joined some time ago, are they your friends? 14, I guess so. Say hello to them for me. Knight smiled, and Leon's group still joined Lamia Scale. I will definitely bring them, Jura said solemnly, and then said goodbye to everyone. Then Mr. Knight, Miss Urza, Wendy, and Carla goodbye. He turned and boarded the magic warship of the council. Carla crossed her arms like a worried mother. We should go back too, Winjon. Carla, wait a minute. I haven't thanked Mr. Knight properly yet. Wendy whispered. Knight thought for a moment and suggested, do you want to go back to the Cat Inn? It's a rare trip. Why don't you come to our guild as a guest? The Cat Inn is a small, unknown guild that was established a short time ago and doesn't receive any decent commissions. Wendy rarely has the opportunity to go out on missions. This is natural. After all, the President Robinlu is a 400-year-old undead, and the entire guild is full of thoughts except Wendy and Carla, and Fairy Tale is very famous. After hearing what Knight said, when he showed an expectant look, is it okay? Of course, Knight said in a friendly tone. However, it's a bit late today. Why don't you go back to the Akane Resort Hotel to stay for one night and go back to Magnolia together tomorrow? Urza also smiled and invited. Although the guild is being rebuilt, you are welcome to come as a guest, Wenwu. Wendy immediately looked at Carla. Her eyes were self-evident. Carla, of course, had to agree. Really, I'm worried about you, so I'll go with you. Thank you, Carla. Wendy showed a happy expression. Unlike Happy and Natsu's mode of getting along, Carla is completely a motherly woman, and I found it quite interesting. So, everyone took a boat to the Akane Resort. The hotel welcomed Knight with tears and smiles for his return. Then they upgraded the room. Knight in one room, Urza in one room, Wendy and Carla in one room. Urza was relieved from the bottom of her heart that she didn't have to sleep in the same bed. It's not that she hates Knight, but she just thinks she won't be able to sleep if they sleep together. Obviously, she could sleep peacefully when they slept together yesterday, but since she had the thought of, does he like me? Urza was a little at a loss. At this time, the bathroom of the high-end guest room was closed. Urza stood in front of the shower to wash her body. Her expression was a little absent-minded, and she couldn't help but recall the kiss before. Kissing on a mouth and kissing on the face are completely two different experiences. Does Knight really like me? He touched my panda last night and kissed me tonight. So he must like me, right? What should I do? Calm down, Urza. You are the fairy queen. Why are you panicking? Urza hugged her cheeks. Facing this situation, she didn't know what to do. Just like when Knight asked her, can I kiss you before, she didn't know whether to refuse or agree. But doesn't he like Mira? Juvia likes him, right? At first she thought of me as a love rival. Urza was about to faint. What a complicated relationship. After taking a shower, She lay on the bed, tossing and turning, and couldn't fall asleep. Damn, it's night. On the other side, in the next room, Knight was chatting with Juvia. Sunny Doll. Sir Knight, aren't you coming back today? Sigma Man. Just finish something, we'll be back tomorrow. Sunny Doll. Okay. Wandering.jpg. Sunny Doll. Juvia misses Lord Knight so much. Knight thought about it and replied immediately. Sigma Man. Are you in the girls' dormitory now? Sunny Doll. Juvia can't sleep. She really wants to be held by Lord Knight to sleep. Poor and cute.jpg. Sunny Doll. Selfie in pajamas.jpg. Knight clicked on the photo to enlarge it. Unlike Ursha's photography style, Juvia in the photo is wearing a cute light blue pajamas. She's a little shy when she sits on the bed and takes a selfie in front of the camera. You have also learned bad habits. Knight thought, sending such photos at night makes him unable to sleep. Sigma Man, I'm back now. See you in the suburbs. Sunny Doll. Juvia will sneak out of the dormitory and never let anyone find out. Shy.jpg. Turning off the magic net. Tut prepared to teleport back with Flying Thunder God. Juvia, made of water, is very moist and obedient, and he misses her very much. But suddenly I thought of the gift. I promised to bring a gift to Juvia when I went back on the train the day before yesterday. Where can I prepare a gift at night? I might as well make one manually. One night got dressed, found the hotel housekeeper, and asked her for some materials. Then he made a Sunny Doll by hand, also called Sunny Lady. The latter is a folk saying in Xia country. After it was passed from Xia country to Sakura country, it was called Sunny Doll. The two are the same thing. Both are white dolls hung under the eaves when praying for the rain to stop and the sky to clear. It is also very simple to make. 147. Use a piece of white cloth to wrap around head and draw eyes, nose, and mouth on the head. Then tie a rope around the neck. That's it. I am really a genius, Knight thought. Although it is simple, the intention is in place. So the head moved. Returned to Magnolia's suburban mansion. After waiting for half an hour, Juvia came. Sir Knight. Miss Rain Girl excitedly threw herself into Knight's arms and buried her head in his chest affectionately. A gift for you. Look at it when you miss me in the future. Knight hugged Juvia and took out the gift he made by himself. Juvia was immediately moved to tears of joy, and her hands were around Knight's neck, and her whole body hung on him. Juvia is so happy. Juvia will definitely keep it well. Juvia likes Lord Knight so much. I like you too. Knight smiled and touched Juvia's hair. Then he carried her into the bedroom. This was the second time since the last time. When the fire is hot, the taste is sweet. The thing Knight likes most about Juvia is that she will listen to everything, and she is really made of water. When the love is strong, she will show her skills of water magic. In short, in one word, moist. Early the next morning, Knight said goodbye to Juvia and used Flying Thunder God to return to the Akane resort. Then he took the train with Urza, Wendy, and Carla and returned to Magnolia. At noon, he arrived at the guild. 100 Makarov, you are the god of magic if you can do this. Knight and his group returned to the guild. No, it should be called a construction site. The reconstruction work cannot be completed in a few days. According to Mirajane's drawings, let's call the abstract crayon drawings construction drawings. In short, it will take at least more than a month. Wendy and Carla came to the construction site with curious faces. Is this the famous wizard guild, the fairies? Bah! Wendy's voice became smaller and smaller, and the exclamation of wow gradually turned into a whisper. It's just a large construction site. Carla couldn't help but complain. Knight nodded. Don't you know? We had a fight with the Phantom Lord before, and our house was demolished. The man and the cat then remembered that Miss Urza did say last night that the guild is being rebuilt. I thought it was just decoration, but I didn't expect it to be built from scratch. Many people were busy on the construction site. Natsu saw Knight and Urza, dropped the wood on his shoulders on the spot, and ran over excitedly. Aha! Urza, come and fight me again. Natsu laughed, punched, and couldn't wait to start. Bang! Urza's lightning-fast punch gave Natsu a baby-like sleep, and he lay on the ground very peacefully. Really? You never learn your lesson. Will he be okay? Wendy showed a frightened expression and was killed instantly by a punch. Miss Urza is really amazing. AI, this is Natsu's 109th defeat, a common thing. Happy walked over and suddenly saw Carla next to Wendy. Oh, he screamed, and hearts suddenly appeared in his eyes. Hey, you male cat over there. Why are you staring at me? Carla said disdainfully. I'm Happy, the cat demon from Fairy Tale. What's your name? Carla. Carla didn't really want to talk to Happy, but she still politely gave her name. Carla, do you want to eat fish? Happy usually carries a small green bag, and he always has a fish. Every time he's hungry, he eats it, and then goes to the lake to fish a new one or asks Natsu to catch one. But now, he opened the green bag and handed the fish to Carla. Oomph. Carla turned her head away. Happy didn't notice it at all and was touched by his cuteness instead. So cute you're actually shy. Lucy happened to see this scene and whispered, That's because she dislikes you. Lucy is a fool. She doesn't understand women's hearts at all. Happy insisted on his own opinion and put the fish back to ask Bowley. I'm also a woman. Lucy was full of black lines on her head. I was actually despised by a stinky cat. Knight wanted to laugh at this, but he stubbornly held it back. Welcome back, Knight Urza. I heard from the president that you helped the council a lot this time, and the president was praised again. At this time, Mira Jane came over with a plate of juice, and after noticing Wendy and Carla, she showed a surprised expression. She is Wendy and Carla. Knight introduced the Wizard of the Demon Cat Inn. She came to visit. Wow, Carla, it's Miss Mira Jane, so beautiful. Wendy knew Mira and looked at her with admiration. Welcome to Fairy Tale, Wendy, Carla, Mira said with a smile. The guild is still being rebuilt. Let me take you to the temporary tavern on the first floor of the basement. Hearing the name, Wendy, Natsu, who was lying on his back, suddenly stood up. Wendy, I seem to have heard this name somewhere, but I also seem to have never heard of it. Natsu, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, couldn't help but frown and think. I am Natsu, the Fire Dragon Slayer. Wendy responded hurriedly. Mr. Natsu, I'm the Sky Dragon Slayer Wizard. Wendy, it's our first meeting. I have always wanted to meet you before. Mira and Lucy were shocked when this was said. Urza nodded. When I knew it, my reaction was the same as yours. Wendy is good at self-healing magic, very powerful. Natsu's eyes lit up. Really? You are the child of Grandin. He remembered Voldemort's reply. Fire Dragon Igneal, Iron Dragon Metallicana, and Sky Dragon Grandin. Seeing Wendy at this time further confirmed the accuracy of what Voldemort said. Wendy, have you seen Grandin? Did Grandin also disappear on July 7th, 1977? Mr. Knight helped me see Grandin last night. But why did he disappear without saying hello? Grandin didn't tell me. Wendy answered timidly. Natsu stood up. Igneal didn't tell me either. I always feel that I have seen you somewhere. Wendy, have I seen you? Carla rolled her eyes. Why ask others, Fire Dragon's Natsu? You must have seen him when you were young, but you definitely don't remember him. Knight thought, including Gajiel, these three are children raised by dragons. Don't stand here for now. Go to the tavern and sit down. Mira Jane smiled and said, It's lunchtime. Wendy, Carla, come and taste the food of our guild. So everyone went to the first floor underground. Although it is now possible to accept commissions online, the Wizards of Fairy Tale are still used to coming to the tavern when they have nothing to do. Sitting in the tavern, ordering a glass of wine from Mira Jane, and then opening the magic network. When you want to work, you accept commissions online. When you don't want to work, you chat and brag in the forum or gossip in the group. A beautiful day has passed. Of course, fighting is also a reserved program of Fairy Tale. Entering the underground tavern, Knight did not see Juvia. Maybe she was too tired last night and is still sleeping in the mansion on the outskirts of the city. Urza remembered that she had broken several sets of armor and left the village after saying hello to everyone. Knight really wanted to know how much it cost for her to repair the armor. She is definitely a little rich woman. You're back? Knight. The old man sat at the bar, slightly drunk in broad daylight, and looked very happy. I heard from Yajima that you and Urza helped the council this time. Ha ha. This morning you praised us Fairy Tale for being sensible. Makarov was very proud of this. Praise him more, he loves it. Knight knew that Yajima, the sixth seat of the council, was a good friend of Makarov. President, I tried to use the fairy law in actual combat, but the power was only half of yours. Why is that? Puff. Makarov spit out a mouthful of wine, coughed for a long time, and said in amazement, "You can use it successfully? This reaction is really good. Do it a few more times. Love to see." Knight smiled in his heart, but still asked seriously, "I used it completely according to your instructions, but the result was not satisfactory. Is it the difference in experience?" He wanted to kill Jalal in one move. In the end, he only killed half of Jalal. Although Jalal was seriously injured, he still had the strength to fight back. Makarov was speechless. He vaguely remembered that when he taught his grandson Laxus, it took him several months to barely get started. Even when he learned this magic, it took him a full month. A month of sleepless nights. In comparison, Knight's learning ability is incredibly strong. This is the genius magician. Makarov couldn't help but think of the first President Mavis. Tell me in detail. Okay, picture director. Knight roughly recounted what happened last night. After listening, Makarov pondered, "You don't want to kill Jalal in your heart, so the fairy law only exerts half of its power, which is probably a reason. Is it?" Knight didn't think so. He didn't care whether to kill Jalal or not, and just wanted to finish the fight quickly. Maybe it's because of this. By the way, President, I'm going to try to make the laws of the fairies into a magic app. After Knight briefly described the concept of the magic app, he continued, "If it can be completed, everyone in the guild may be able to use it in the future. What do you think? Do you allow me to do this?" After all, this magic was given to him by the president, so Knight still had to ask. Hearing this, Makarov was stunned. Your kid not only learns quickly, but also wants others to use it without learning? If you can do this, you are the god of magic. Makarov doesn't believe this. If he can do it, Makarov, will call Knight the most fishy price.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on unle.audiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.